I like that. That makes a lot of noise, doesn't it? Yeah. Glad I don't have to listen that much longer. This microphone's on, isn't it? At this time, we'll do a pledge of allegiance. Mr. Dene, will you lead us in the pledge? Yes, sir.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
At this time, we'll observe a moment of silence. Madam Secretary, call the roll, please.
Breckus? Zadra? Delgado? Dorch? Jordan? Shivi?
I'm here too.
Pichelle?
That's okay. I just wanted to make sure. I know I'm leaving, but that's okay. A little touchy here in a minute, huh? All right, now we'll go to public comment. Before we go to public comment, I would like to honor two of my colleagues that have been with me for 12 years. Got a little gift here I want to give them.
Thank you.
Handshake will do. Thank y'all for your service for 12 years. Really appreciate it. You've been great leaders in the community, and thank y'all very much. All right, now we'll go to proclamations. Excuse me, we have to go public comment. I tried to move it so we didn't have to hear it. Donna Klontz. Donna, you're up.
Donna Klontz, Chair of the Reno Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, and I've asked the other three members of our group who are able to come today to be here with me as well. Oh, 4 of us. There are 9 altogether, and we wanted to thank the outgoing council members and you, Mr. Mayor, for your support for the past 12 years, for the senior programs, and for your work advocating for senior citizens here in the community. We weren't all able to make the special meeting on the 22nd, so we're here today. You appointed us to look out for the best interests of all our senior citizens, to inform the community about their interests and needs, and to serve as their advocates so that they can maintain a superior quality of life and independence, and we've appeared here many times to do just that. We're grateful that through all those years, as our senior population has expanded, that you supported the growth of senior programs and senior staff in the City of Reno Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Department. You also allocated funds from the city budget and often from your own personal funds to allow the advisory committee to promote and support enriching events, services, and programs such as improvements to the recreation centers, better sports equipment for senior programs, veterans programs, the Winter Games, Summer Games, and Older Americans Month. And also, those funds allowed us to support low-income seniors in our community with scholarships to the Reno recreation programs, to provide computers for the Medicare volunteer counselors, to send Reno veterans to Washington, D.C. with Honor Flight, and to provide food for hungry seniors through Northern Nevada's food bank, and also to support volunteer caregivers and programs throughout our community. We've given you each a little box today. It's an engraved pen as a token of our appreciation for making seniors such a high priority in your work for the past 12 years as a Reno council member and as mayor of our city. We all will miss your leadership on the council, but we know you will continue your strong support of senior issues as you turn to your next endeavor. Best wishes to all three of you, and thank you again for everything you've done for seniors in our community.
Thank you. Thank you. Stephen White.
Good afternoon, folks. I couldn't pass this down. I wanted to come and thank you all for the wonderful things that we've done for the arts in this community. And especially thank you for Hillary Seabees for, my goodness, if we've accomplished this much in this short a period of time, can you imagine what we're going to do now? This is a wonderful opportunity for artists and for the arts in this community. I look forward to working with y'all, working with the new mayor. Let's open up new opportunities for artists and crafters in this community, and let's start tapping the talent in this community. And you know, the gold in them thar hills isn't the gold and the silver. The gold in them thar hills is all your talented people that live in this area, and that's what we need to tap into now. And I look forward to working with you, and I look forward to working with your new mayor, and God bless you all for the work you do. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much for the service you've given to the city.
Thank you.
God bless you all. Thank you.
You. David Shakar.
Good afternoon, Mayor Cashel. My name is David Shikar, independent artist and fast sketch artist. Like Steve, I wanted to thank you for all you've done for the artists. My life has greatly improved being able to be out there on the street and in the parks and be at my easel and draw sketches. And I was just thinking, besides wishing you well, Mayor, and the other two people that are leaving us, we appreciate your service. Won't go on too much about that because there's thousands of other people that want to wish you the same. But thank you so much for your service, and we're looking forward, Hillary, for the service with you as well. A lot of people are going to be approaching you all with different agendas, and I think that there's one agenda, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whether you're rich or poor, that we could all agree on. City of Reno has got amazing special events. And I was just thinking, and when I was talking to my friend Steve White, how could these special events be more special? I'd like you to just think about the fact, maybe instead of being concerned about the out-of-state promoters that come here from California, sometimes they have a tendency to Californicate the events when they're selling stuff like plastic dog poop and cheap sunglasses from China. What about thinking about having locals in these events? For Buy Nevada Local, there's a store in Old Town Mall now. It's a Buy Nevada store, and their website, by the way, is buylocalrenosparks.com. I like it so much I've got it on my business card. They do nothing but sell stuff that is made in Nevada. There's arts and there's crafts and there's things that people have invented. By the way, if anybody ever needs to worry about what you're going to get for Christmas, I would say go over to Old Town Mall, buy Nevada. You're supporting Nevada locals, Nevada artists. Think about the fact that if we had any special event and there were a lot of Nevada artists and Nevada crafters and people that made things, your citizens and your sons and your daughters, you know, how much that would benefit the city of Reno and the tourists. Tourists come here for things that are uniquely Reno, and that could be a very unique Reno thing. Thank you very much again for your service, sir, and best of luck to all you.
Thank you. Jeff Church. Jeff Church. That's all right, Jeff, you're buried.
Got my hearing aid in today, but
Oh, you better turn it up, Jeff.
all right, where's our little display here? All right. Well, good afternoon, folks. I want to congratulate the new members on a race well run. Best wishes in representing the citizens of Reno. I'm Jeffrey Church, a retired Reno Police Sergeant and retired Lieutenant Colonel from the U.S. Air Force Reserve. I own various properties in Reno and Washoe County, and I run a law enforcement consulting business. I've been involved as a concerned citizen on Reno public safety and financial issues, and I maintain a website, renopublicsafety.org. That's .org, not .com. Please have a look. Now, I realize today's a day to celebrate, not that you're leaving, but to celebrate the new members and also your service to the council. Unfortunately, I travel a lot for business and for pleasure. I'm not always here, so I want to cover a few things that might be perceived as negative, but I think we need to put them on the record. I want to speak to you about various issues, and I'm always intend to be respectful, polite, and armed with facts and figures and hopefully solutions. I am putting the city, and especially the new leaders, on notice that I'm not here to hear myself talk. I believe that Reno is not compliant with ballot measures for additional police and fire personnel that we desperately need. I have given handouts for everybody, including the new members, so there's no doubt that you've been noticed with the information. I also believe there's various provisions of the IAFF fire labor contract that are contrary to law and to case law. And I just think that we need legal opinions. We have a brand new city attorney coming on board, so I hope that, I wish him the best, and I hope that he would look at that. I'm prepared to address these via the Reno City Attorney, the Nevada Attorney General, or the courts if necessary, so that we can put these matters to rest one time for all. Unfortunately, I do believe that Reno is a banana peel away from insolvency. The new members have a tough task. The city has been faced with unprecedented financial problems due to the downturn in the economy. We are improving, but I still think it's a formidable task for the new members. And for example, there's a report from consultant Jeremy Aguero that reports Reno's inability to support OPEDs after 2016, if not sooner. And that report basically echoed a report that you had done by Bickmore and Associates, and also Reno's past and present CAFIR audits, as well as 2 labor fact finders, all concurring as to Reno's financial difficulty. So once again, I wish everybody luck in the future. I've also attached an article from the Reno Gazette-Journal to support that. And in addition to these debts, I just wanted to point out, since I've only got a few seconds left, that there's also a Nevada Attorney General opinion, number 2011-04, which seems to cover these issues as far as the fire and police tax measures that we desperately do need more firemen and policemen for fire persons. The city of Reno, if they do intentionally misappropriate these funds and they go to the general fund instead of showing up on our tax bill, then that's wrong. It could be criminal if it's misappropriation, and such a multi-million-dollar breach of public trust could be serious. I'm a non-attorney, so I'm simply asking for a legal review for these. But again, I wish you all luck. Thank you very much.
A little gloom today helps everybody. Tom Dunn? By the way, all of you, we're not busted. Contrary to what the gentleman says. You zip it.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor,
Tom,
members
good
of the
to see
council, Mr. Klinger. Tom Dunn, Vice President of the Reno Firefighters Association. First of all, I would like to thank everybody that's currently up on the podium. Thank you for your service to our community. We have, over the last several years, may not have agreed on issues, but I think at the end of the day, we have always tried to be truthful and honest with each other. And more importantly, we've always tried to move this city forward in a positive direction. So starting off, I'd like to thank you for your service to our community.
Thank you.
Next thing, I'd like to thank the new city council members and city attorney that are coming in. Thank you for stepping up. Thank you for trying to make our community a better place as well. As everybody well knows, yesterday was Veterans Day. And we always talk about Veterans Day and how we take pride in the service that our men and women have provided to our country. I'd like to take that a step further today and talk about the men and women of the fire department, men and women of the police department, and the men and women of the rest of your departments in the city. You know, we have stepped forward. We have towed the line. We have come forward to serve our community as a whole. We have come forward to make our community a better place. And on behalf of the men and women of the Reno Firefighters Association, I would like to say thank you, and we look forward to working with everybody moving forward.
Thank you. Reverend Randall?
Not standing alone, coming with my dear friend, Bishop John Wynn, and my predecessor, who I'm sure most of you know in this community, Reverend William C. Webb. We represent ACON, the African American Clergy Council of Northern Nevada, who we've had the pleasure of sitting with most of you and introducing ourselves to this council. And first of all, we want to say to those members of the council who have served and are now making their exit, and of course to our mayor, we thank you for the service that you have provided to our city. And to those new members of the council, and especially to our new mayor, we're so grateful to have the opportunity to be available to you. I know it's not Bible class time, but there is a brief mention of scripture I'd like to bring, and that is the fact that Jesus in his Sermon on the Mount says something about believers being salt and light to the world. Salt changing the flavor, light providing illumination. What we want to be to this council is just that. How can we make sure that whatever you may need from the faith-based community, most especially from the community of people of color, that we can be there for you. We can be there to provide advice. We can be there to provide counsel. Every great person in Scripture that operated on a public level had a prophet that could provide some sense of guidance. And we'd like to make sure you know that that's what we're here for. We're here to make sure that you know you can turn to us as clergymen, as well as turn to us as the faith-based community, specifically the African-American community, for what are our needs and for what may be your needs to help take care of this city. Not being Nevada-born, I am now beginning to become more acclimated to this city, loving the opportunity that I have and that you have and that we all have to impact our city. And we hope and pray that you would allow us to do that by being there for you, sharing with you, helping you, and being a source of hope for our community. Because in this day and age, especially in light of the events that have occurred lately, one of the things that people need is to be at ease, knowing that all will be okay. And we'd like to help be that voice on the side of this council. All right?
Thank you very much. As long as you follow Reverend Webb, you two guys are going to be okay.
Yeah, well, we're
Reverend
going to
Webb, keep helping him, would you?
He got us in line.
Yeah, he's got you in line. Good. Ron McGee?
Good morning, Mayor, City Council, new mayor to be. The wind's a little short. I just got back from the VA hospital, which is big improvement with that new gal that's taken over. She's cracked the whip up there, and they are way more friendly, and they're doing a way better job. You know why she's here? Because there was problems there. They brought her from Boise, and Obama made the change up above, and that guy made the change. So that's an improvement. Two, I'm going to go real fast. I want to congratulate, I'm really happy that Chuck Allen won with $85,000 spent when the loser spent $425,000. That guy that lost, he should have spent $200,000, bought 2 houses, rehabbed them, give them to disabled veterans. He might have won. He might have got 1,000 votes out of that deal. You got to use your head. Next step, I want to thank the mayor. In the last year, I got 2 or 3 things done that wouldn't get done except he made one call. And the last one is on Record Street. They painted all the sidewalks. They put lines down the railroad track, say stay back 2 foot for all the homeless, on that Record Street thing. And they cleaned all the sidewalks. And I know he made the call, so, or somebody did. I'll give him the credit. 9th and Sutro, it gags me looking at that house on the corner for 10 years. He better take care of it. He's working on it. That's that abandoned house. Every time you go to the senior center, you look at, boarded up. That's a bad. And then we have one more Mr. Pitts should take care of. It's right across from the police department. Do you guys notice it? Boarded up house. There's no reason for that, right next to the police department. See, how's my time? Okay. One other thing, I see some improvement in the police department on interfacing with the public. I worked some out with Pitts for us to wave at each other, have the police wave, be friendly to the people, they will help them more. You get no help from the public, you're not going to do that good in the police work. I have a little background in that. Army, Union, retired AT&T. And the last thing, I would like somebody today to explain real well that new city council at large position that she used to have. Thank you. You give you 30 seconds back.
Thank you very much. Bill Fisher. Bill Fisher. Bill Fisher. I waited long enough.
Good afternoon, everybody. I just came up here to thank Bob. For 12 years, I've known him. He's been a blessing to the children who I fight for this city. He's led the council to ban bath salts, ban spice, take pornography out of public view, take paraphernalia off the tables, and you got to have a license to sell that crap now. He's helped try to stop liquor stores from opening next to parks, next to schools. I want everybody to remember that our kids are going to be in here someday. And we want to keep them away from those things in society that aren't good. And Bob and the city council members have been a blessing to me. Sometimes I've been mean, and I'm trying to be nice, and it didn't come out right. And those of you that I might have offended, I am very sorry, but kids are on my shoulder. I work with underprivileged children every week. Been doing it for 12 years. And I want to thank everybody for supporting me at the Thanksgiving dinner. It's not me, it's God. And all the different religions work together, I should say. Mormons, Catholic, Baptist, Methodist, you name it. Presbyterians, Nazarenes, Reno Christian Fellowship, Sparks Christian Fellowship, Summit. Members of each one of them churches hold hands and serve approximately 2,500 to 3,000 people Thanksgiving dinner every year. Bob pays for the permit. That's a real blessing to have my brother Bob, and I'm going to miss him really bad. And John, thank you. Mike, thank you. Steve, thank you. They came and served, literally served plates to people. We feed 250 people at a time. All of you are welcome to come. My phone number is on the bottom of the flyer. If you can't find one, talk to John, Mike, or Steve, or Bob, or they'll point you in the right direction. God bless y'all. May you do a good job too.
Thank you very much. I would like to correct one statement. He said Bob Cashel did something. Bob Cashel didn't do a thing. It was all the council, this whole council working together for the last 12 years have made things happen and work for kids and stuff in this community, not Bob Cashel. Mark Markell.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and Mr. Manager. Congratulations, Hillary, and the rest of the new council members. My name is Mark Markell, and it's my mission in life to educate students and the community about what happens when someone gets in a car with a drunk driver. I'm reading from this because I suffer a traumatic brain injury and get off track and curse sometimes. Yeah, that's a bad thing. You're funny, look. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Damn. I'm sorry. I had a car crash and rolled 8 times. I was not wearing my seatbelt. It wasn't mandatory back then, and I was ejected and the car landed on my head. I was in a coma for a month and in the hospital 5.5 months more. After I regained consciousness, I had to learn to walk, talk, and even eat all over again due to my traumatic brain injury. I can't do everyday tasks. My life has completely changed as a result of getting in a car with the drunk driver. Through Marchpad, People Against Drunk Driving, I help to prevent others from making the same mistakes and suffering the same consequences that I have. Please don't get in the car with a drunk driver. Parents, don't drive drunk with your kids in the car. Kids, listen to your parents and teachers. They just want to make you good citizens of you. They're there to help. I never listened to either one, and look what happened. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Great message, Mark. Thank you. Sam Denate.
Sam Dene, the Encyclopedia of Reno Government. And right off the bat, I do not anticipate, I do not want all of this clapping that you have been giving me these other people, even though I deserve it more than all of them added together. I am, nice chortle over there anyway. I'm an Air Force Academy graduate. I spent many years flying fighters and bombers defending our nation against enemies inside of the border and outside of the border. And since I left my airline that was blown out of business, Pan Am, I've been to every city council meeting. And let's put this in perspective, folks. Look around you. Everybody look around at you. Add these things up. All of these people in this room, I've been to more city council public comment podiums than all of you added together, and all of your friends and all of your relatives. And I have been the driving force for 90% of what has been good in Reno. And I've certainly tried to keep some of the bad stuff from happening. Am I working up an applause from anybody out there? I don't think so. The mayor and his council bought this building, $50 million, and adding all the time so they can eat caviar up on the top floor. At any rate, nice giggle back there too. You like caviar, huh? Anyway, all I can say, ladies and gentlemen, the vote counters have spoken. The vote counters have spoken. Yes, they have. Along with a heck of a lot of help from the election manipulating media that should be dismantled. The media in this community, especially the Reno Gazette, media mouses, the corrupt, mendacious, perverted, deceptive, rotten, evil, wicked Reno Gazette destroyed this election. At the start of the election, there was a young man, a Marine Corps veteran. By the way, the Reno Gazette also doesn't like military people. There were 2 Marines and 1 Air Force fighter bomber pilot on that ballot, and they did everything they could to ignore those people. The 1 Marine was the challenger against your beloved Bob Cashel up there in the last election. 21,180 votes against the mighty Cashel. Do you know how many votes he got after the media ignored him
and the vote counters got their fingers in the pie. 21,180 does not compute at all down to 208 votes. Mathematical impossibility. By the way, he got more votes than the mighty Pez over there as the challenger. He holds the record. And you don't find him anywhere because the media mouse manipulators are rotten and evil. And as I close out, we're talking about filling this extra slot. I'm not going to volunteer for it, and I'm not going to serve if you demand me to go in there and draft me. You don't deserve me. You don't deserve me. You really don't deserve me. Although I am by far the most qualified, I've got more spunk, gumption, moxie, and you can see it right here. Natural charisma and courage, because who's going to come up here, and there's Pete over there smiling, who's going to come up here and challenge these people on this beautiful day and continue to tell the truth?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know the mic was on. I'm sorry, I didn't know the mic was on. I'm very sorry. Oh, I'm very sorry. Miss Adria, would you like to say something?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to express my appreciation for the police department and the event that they did this last weekend out in South Meadows. We have an apartment complex out there that most often has the most calls for services, and they've developed their 360 program that was just so highly respected, and working with the kids out there, and the elementary school, the principal and vice principal put on a great day with the kids, and it was all Officer Phoenix going out there to try and create positive things for our youth. And I just wanted to make sure that the community knows about it. All of the volunteers that were out there were just giving huge credit to the PD and our 360 program. The Episcopal Church, who does tutoring after school, said that it has just turned things around, and we no longer have all of the calls for services out there in South Meadows because of the work that Officer Phoenix and the department is doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Klinger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few announcements this morning. First, I'd like to thank our Parks and Recreation Special Events staff and the Volunteer Citizen Committee who worked hard to organize a very successful Veterans Day parade yesterday morning. This was the 16th consecutive year the city has hosted the parade. Thanks also to our community who came out to support and honor our veterans who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So, very successful event. The City of Reno has been supporting, as this council and mayor you know, the buy local effort for a few years now. This year it has evolved from a marketplace to a multifaceted outreach campaign to support small business in our area. The campaign has components that support small businesses and also encourages our community to keep their dollars local by joining the movement and shop small on Small Business Saturday, November 29th, and throughout the holiday season. To demonstrate your commitment to shop small, take a minute to join the movement and pledge to buy local this holiday season by texting YES, Y-E-S, to area code 775-434-1936, and you can see we have it up here on the screens in the chamber. Statistics show that every dollar spent locally generates $3 in local economic success, and if consumers shifted just 10% of their spending to local businesses, we would generate up to $350 million in our community. Find businesses who are supporting the Buy Local movement at reno.gov/buylocal. And if you are a small business interested in participating, you can sign up at reno.gov/local stores. City of Reno, Washoe County Senior Services, and the Regional Transportation Commission are partnering once again on the Senior Giving Tree Program, which assists seniors in our community. The donation drive starts on Monday, November 17th, and ends on Monday, December 15th. For more information, you can visit reno.gov/stuffabus. Our Northwest Pool, our Parks and Recreation and Community Services Department will host a public event on Saturday, November 22nd, to celebrate renovations at the Northwest Pool. The ceremonies will include a free open swim from 1 to 4 p.m. and pool games for the community to enjoy. An announcement on a public meeting. The City of Reno will be hosting a follow-up public meeting regarding the Virginia Lake Water Quality Improvement Project on Thursday, December 4th at the Peppermill Resort Hotel, starting at 6 p.m. And lastly, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to personally thank and acknowledge you and the outgoing members. I want to thank you for your service to this community. It's been an honor and a privilege for me to sit alongside you for the last 3.5 years. So thank you for your service to the community.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to congratulate Councilwoman Sheevy on being elected mayor, and want to congratulate and welcome Councilwoman Naomi Dewar. I gotta make sure I get those Naomis and Neomas correct. And Councilman Paul McKenzie. On behalf of the staff at the City of Reno, we look forward to working with you.
If the legislature hadn't put this all together and made us do it this way, we could have moved a hell of a lot faster. But they say we have to do all these nice little things, so you have to suffer with us. We will get there, though. We're on our way. Approval of the agenda. Have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, no. Motion carries unanimously. Approval of the minutes for October 22nd.
Motion.
Have a motion second. All in favor say aye. Those that oppose, no. Motion carries unanimously. Cash disbursements. Any disclaimers or anything? Chair will entertain a motion.
Second.
A motion approved, second. All in favor say aye. Those that oppose, no. Motion carries. Mark, go back to sleep. Proclamations. Declaring November 2014 as the City of Reno Veterans Appreciation Day. We have one person who wishes to speak. Anel Hellman, you want to wait and do that? Anel, you want to do that when the proclamations? Okay, you don't need to. You can go on up there with them.
Okay, come on up. Hi, everyone. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, audience. It's my privilege to present the proclamation honoring November as Veterans Appreciation Month. With me up here is Julie Conway on behalf of our Parks and Recreation and Community Services Department that is responsible for our city programming related to veterans initiatives and efforts. Also, Kat Miller, the Director of Nevada Department of Veteran Services, is here. Hi, Kat. Thank you for being here. And Corey Blatchford, a veteran that participates in our Ride to Recovery program, a veteran we honor not only yesterday, not only this month, but all year long as we do our other veterans. And is Corey here? Hi, Corey. Thank you for coming. And Mr. Mill, a UNR graduate and Afghan native who's done some work on behalf of our veterans from the Guard, is going to speak for a few minutes also after I read the proclamation. So. Whereas the Reno City Council has demonstrated a continued commitment to the community livability, public safety, economic vitality, and personal well-being that is achieved through accessible programs and services in parks, recreations, arts, and community events. And whereas the City of Reno continues to be a resource of applied expertise and knowledge in the field of parks and recreation and supports our veterans through accessible programming in partnership with the Sierra Nevada Veterans Administration Medical Center in Reno, with grant-funded programs such as Fit But Not Forgotten, which provides veterans fitness instruction and access to the workout facilities at the Evelyn Mount Northeast Community Center. And whereas through collaboration with valuable partners such as the Nevada Military Support Alliance, Governor Brian Sandoval's Office of Military and Veterans Policy, Nevada Department of Veterans Services, and local veteran service organizations, the City of Reno provides an annual military sports camp for wounded veterans and their guests every September. And whereas the City of Reno offers Ride to Recovery Project Hero, which is healing, exercise, rehabilitation opportunity program, using cycling to help injured veterans overcome the obstacles they face. And whereas the City of Reno seeks to provide recreational programs that help veterans improve their health, transition to civilian life, and to strengthen veterans' family relationships. Now, therefore, I, Jenny Breckus, on behalf of Mayor Cashel and the rest of this council, do hereby proclaim November 2014 as City of Reno Veterans Appreciation Month.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, representatives from the city of Reno, I'd just like to say there's a lot of communities that come together to say thank you for our veterans. The city of Reno, they take action. And it's just my great honor to acknowledge this proclamation on behalf of Nevada's veterans. And if we could just take a minute, I know a lot of you are standing, but the veterans that are here today, if you'd stand up, and those of you that are standing, just raise your hand in the air so we can acknowledge your contributions.
How we doing? My name is Corey Blatchford. I'm a U.S. Army medically retired vet. I served in Iraq from 2006 to 2007 for 15 months. My last month in Iraq, I was hit by an IED that kind of took me out. I'm still here. I've got my fingers and toes, but the invisible pain was worse than anything else. Since I've come to Reno for the past 2 years, my first year was very hard. I got into drugs, alcohol, and a lot of the bad stuff. You know, it doesn't really help vets out. I finally ended up going to a program where I heard of Ride to Recovery. When I got back to Reno, I met up with April Wolf from the Fit But Not Forgotten program. And when I told her about it, being the cyclist that she is, she said, "You're riding tomorrow." And so I was like, oh, okay. Since that day, my life has completely changed. My relationship with my wife has gotten amazing. I see Reno for a different place than just drugs and alcohol. I see it progressing in not only job workforce, but just relationship with people in general. I work for the Veterans Affairs now, and it's an amazing job to help veterans and give back. There's a lot of changes going through there, but every vet that I've talked to has said they've either seen changes for good or they've always had a good experience here, which is really nice. Thanks to the program, I've lost a lot of weight. I'm down like 50 pounds, getting back in there, and my life is just amazing. And I want to thank everybody, especially April, the city of Reno, for changing my life. And I'm glad I own a house and live here and hope to stay here for the rest of my life. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor and the members of the council and the new elected members, I want to thank you for having me here today. As the introduction, my name is Emil Halim, and I was born and raised in Afghanistan. At the age 18, I became interpreter, learning English from watching movies. I became interpreter for American troops and a culture advisor. For over 3.5 years working for American troops, I was able to come to the University of Nevada, sponsored by Colonel Edenrip, which was a colonel for the Nevada National Guard. He helped me pay for my school with along other good returns here in Reno, and I was able to graduate from UNR just a few months ago. I just want to tell you this, that you may already know this, but I want this for the young fellows I have over here, for my young friends and their family. You have the most amazing country in the world. This America is the most generous, most amazing, most welcoming country in the world. And if it was not for this country, if it was not for the American troops and the brave soldiers, my country would be still in the dark days as we were under the Taliban regime. If it was not for the American people we wouldn't be able to get out of the communism. I'm not going to get into politics in 1980s. So because of this American troops, because of the American soldiers and their bravery and their support for their family, millions of Afghan girls are going to school because of this American troops. My mom, my sister, and now my bride, they're able to get out of their house without wearing a burqa or all those crazy things the Taliban are imposing. I can get on and talk for hours and hours, but there are so many things I'm talking about. It's the first time in Afghanistan history that we have a peaceful transition. Of course, it took a little time, but it's the first time that we have a peaceful transition from one president to another president voted by people. It was the people-elect president, Dr. Ghani. So I just want to tell you that thank you so, so much. And again, if it was not for the American troops, we would be still in dark days, and we wouldn't have a parliament made of 30% of our women in Afghanistan. That's a huge impact over there because of the bravery of American troops, because of the police force over here. It's been 4.5 years I've been living here, but trust me, when I wake up in the morning, I feel like it's my first day in this country. The electricity, the power, just being able to run by the river and not worry about bullets behind me. So you have the most amazing country in the world. Thank you so much again for having me over here.
Julie Conway, Parks, Recreation, Community Services Director. Honorable Mayor, council members, City Manager Klinger, I want to thank you for honoring our veterans. This has now become a tradition to do this annually. And without, again, as the mayor and we know, it does take a team of individuals, you as policymakers, and staff to support what you want to see happen. Our team working with the community, and as was mentioned, April Wolf, who is the head of the program, Andy Bass, Recreation Manager. However, there are other staff that work with them that, as a team, make these programs happen. And let me emphasize that we do it with grants and with a minimal amount of city staff money and other types of city support. However, we have programs that we're putting on, and we have facilities that we're using to make sure that our veterans are served. And so I want to thank the City Council on behalf of our department and on behalf of the other members of the community that support what we do for the veterans. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the support groups that backs everything that goes on with the military, I think he's here. I think there's a couple of them here. But I want to thank the Military Support Alliance. The founder of the Military Support Alliance is Perry DiLoretto and General Ron Bath. They just gave $500,000 to the university for veterans. Excuse me. Stand up, Perry. Where are you? Come on, where are you, Perry? I know you're back here. Come on up. Get where everybody can see you. Jesus, he's going to kill me later. Perry, get up here where everybody can see you. He told me he was standing up, but Perry, come on up here. Perry. Would y'all move out of the way so they can see Perry?
I'm sorry, Mr. DiLoretto just left.
Oh, yeah. You don't know the trouble I'm in. Now, excuse me for choking up there. Perry and started this with his own money and stuff, and General Bath came in and joined him, and what they've done is there's a new program for veterans up at the university, and I think they gave them $500,000 to build the facility and the program with it. So we're very grateful for that. So thank y'all very much. All right. We're getting closer to what you came for. Ordinance adoption. Could we make this real quick and painless?
Yes, this is ordinance number 6353, the last one I'm going to read. And it's ordinance amending the Reno Municipal Code, Title 18, Annexation and Land Development, Chapter 18.14, Regional Road Impact Fees, Section 18.14501 through 18.14508, entitled Regional Road Impact Fee to reflect changes in the Regional Road Impact Fee Interlocal Cooperative Agreement, General Administrative Manual, and Capital Improvements Plan, together with other matters properly relating thereto.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, no. Motion carries unanimously. Now we're down to the proper thing. That's for her to take care of, not me. Oh, I've got to let you. Mr. Dene. Oh, you don't want to speak. Thank you, Mr. Dene. You want to talk about canvassing? You know, while you're coming up, Mr. Day, come on up, Mr. Dene. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I was talking to a paratrooper, and he told me the reason they started paratroopers is because they had pilots like Sam Dene, and they wanted to get off the damn airplane. And I think I would have been a paratrooper if they had. Okay, Mr. Dene, your time's running.
Thank you.
Mr. Dene, your time's running. Run his clock.
See that clock? The Sam Dene. Don't give him 1 extra second of freedom of speech clock.
Don't
when I
worry.
arrived on the scene, there was no clock. Then
My
they had a
colleague-
5-minute clock, and then they spent another $100,000 buying that clock, since you brought it up, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I've got a mute
Sam
button, too.
Dene, no, don't do that again. I'll have to turn you into the Attorney General as my last act.
Oh, that'd
Don't
be
challenge
great.
me. Never mind. I will not do that. Just a little tete-a-tete, and I don't even understand that paratrooper joke, but everybody else apparently
Everybody else did.
It's okay. Anyway, we're talking about this thing called the canvassing of the vote. Does anybody, I know nobody knows what it, but nobody will admit it. What is the canvassing of the vote? A canvassing of a vote is, guess what? These folks who ran for election, some of them, and all throughout the community, but these folks are going to look at all the votes that are handed to them and decide whether or not those votes are hunky-dory. Of course, who wants to, if you're being elected by these votes, are you going to say there's something wrong? I don't think so. Anyway, I wasn't really going to go there. I do not want to cast any aspersions on our hard-working voting counting team over there at Washoe County. I told them that this morning over at the meeting. I don't want to cast any aspersions on them. They're hard-working people. And they had to put up against a massive onslaught of election tampering by the Reno media, and especially the Reno Gazette. The Reno Gazette manipulated that election, and I said it before, and I'm not going to waste my time with 75 different adjectives. Corrupt, mendacious, they're pervert, deceptive, and there's disconjurcuticulated, to put it nicely, and they're evil. Sam Dene, the last time I ran for an election for city council 6 years ago, I got 18,000 votes, and that was before they stopped counting them. 18,000 votes, and guess what? Do you know how many votes I got this time against the mighty doer there? As coming in with 18,000 supposed votes? Do you know how many I got? Mathematical impossibility. 203 votes. Impossibility. 18,000 down to 203, it does not happen. Or maybe I've just been a mean guy. Am I a mean guy? Maybe the people don't like me anymore. Those 18,000 people moved out of town, decided Sam's not the right guy, Air Force Academy graduate, a war hero, Vietnam veteran, all those things we were just honoring now. And Mr. Mayor, I got to remind you, as I leave the podium in 33 seconds, it'll be the last time that you will ever have to gavel me and say, thank you, Sam. He's done that 3,427 times during his 12-year career. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. As I close out, I just really hope,
when I need
I hope that the new regime will not fear me as much as you people have feared me through the years, because all of the good ideas, like I said, 90% of them were my ideas. They wait about 3 more months, they indoctrinate them and take the credit for it and go upstairs and eat their caviar.
Oh, boy. Hey, Andrew, this is my last one. I got to put up with that. Oh, the mic's on. I'm sorry. Now we're down to item D1, canvas of the boat. Mr. City Manager, what do you do?
I don't do anything. That's you.
Why don't you read the motion? Read the motion. Okay. I'll read it. I move to confirm the canvass of election results that has been completed by the City Council and City Manager and declare the results of the November 4, 2014 City of Reno general election as indicated in the statement of vote.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, no. Motion carries unanimously. Judge Gardner and Judge Safraza, please come forward. Would all the elected officials that were elected please step forward? We'll do them one at a time. Ms. Sheevy, you're the mayor. We will do Ms. Sheevy first. Would her family join her up in the podium? We will face, you can use the mic, but we will face the audience.
First of all, I would like to thank Mayor Cashel, Councilwoman Sharon Zadra, as well as Dwight Dortch for their service to our community. When I was elected mayor of Reno, in 1983, Bob Cashel was lieutenant governor, and my good friend Dick Scott was on the city council, and I was the youngest elected mayor in history. Today, I'm the second oldest judge in Washoe County, and I'm going to be swearing in the second youngest mayor in the history of our city and the second female mayor in history. She's like a daughter to me. She's my wife's employer and my daughter's friend. I'm proud and honored to swear in Hillary Sheevy, and I will face the audience for this. And if you'll please raise your right hand, and I will say that Paul McKenzie has graciously loaned us his Bible for this purpose. I would ask if you'll raise your right hand, and you can put that aside. I'll read it to you. And put your hand on the Bible. And I, repeat after me, Hillary Sheevy, do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States
the Constitution of Government of the United States
and the government of the state of Nevada
and the government of the state of Nevada
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith, allegiance, and loyalty to the same,
that I will bear faith,
true faith,
allegiance,
and loyalty to the same,
and loyalty to the same,
any ordinance, resolution, or law of any state, notwithstanding, and that I will well and faithfully perform all the duties. I'm sorry, I got ahead of you.
Okay.
And that I will well and faithfully perform all the duties of the office of mayor, on which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations.
Really quickly, this all seems so surreal, to be honest with you.
Mr. President, I mean, Ms. Sheedy, you know the procedures to use the microphone?
I've been here 2 seconds and we're already going. Go to the other side, go to the other side. Wow. I can't tell you how incredibly blessed I feel to represent such a beautiful city. And I want to just say thank you so much to Judge Sferraza and former mayor. I can't tell you how honored I was to have you here today. It was such a special wish of mine. But I have to let everyone know that I'm so incredibly excited to move the city forward. And I plan for the next 90 days to work incredibly hard to bring back the neighborhood advisory boards, a big blight reduction initiative, and the employee contracts. That being said, I've had the honor and privilege to be a part of the city council for the last 2 years. And I will tell you, the people that work in this city are some of the finest. And I am so blessed to work beside you. So I want to thank all of you, because you guys are the ones that really make us look good. And so I also, it's incredibly important to thank Councilman Dortch and Councilwoman Zadra for your service. It's really been a lot of fun, and we've had so many good memories. However, it's really important to me to have Mayor Bob Cashel come over here really quickly. Come on, because you need to be acknowledged for your service, because you have so much passion for this city. See, my turn to call you out. I love it. Come on over. One thing I do know, that I do have really big shoes to fill. But let me just show you, it's not like I'm not trying. So I want you to know what a huge joy and honor it's been to work with you. The first time I ever met Mayor Cashel, we had Cosmos together. So we brought you a big Cosmo glass with Hershey Kisses. And also a lifetime membership at Soto Restaurant for your favorite tomato soup. Because I know that I will be seeing you there. So
Yes, you will.
thank you for everything.
Thank you. Well, Mayor, I want to present you with your gavel. Says Mayor Hillary Sheevy.
Wow.
Here's the key to your office. Good to go. Good to see you again.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you.
The next person that I have the honor to swear in is Naomi Dewar, and if her family will come up and join us. And again, I do have the family Bible of Mr. McKenzie, and he's graciously allowed us to use it. As a Reno geologist and former state of Nevada water planner, director of the Truckee River Flood Management Project, and Ward 2 Neighborhood Advisory Board member, Naomi Dewar has experience building consensus for important projects that create jobs and improve our quality of life. In short, she is a doer, and I'm proud to swear her in today. And I would ask that you raise your right hand. And
Yes, you want your chair now.
Repeat after me. I,
I,
Naomi Dewar,
Naomi Dewar,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and government of the United States
and government of the United States
and the Constitution and government
and the Constitution and government
of the state of Nevada
of the state of Nevada
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
that I will bear true faith,
allegiance,
allegiance,
and loyalty to the same.
and loyalty to the same.
Any ordinance,
Any ordinance,
resolution,
resolution,
or law of any state notwithstanding,
or law of any state notwithstanding,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the office
of the office
of City Council Ward 2,
of City Council Ward 2,
on which I am about to enter,
upon which I'm about to enter.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Do you want to swear in Carl with his Bible?
Yeah, he told me to.
That's good. I'll do Carl. That's perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
And there's no speeches, right? Hillary did a phenomenal job. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's here today, everyone who helped me get elected, for my ability, teaching me to listen, build consensus, and get things done. That is exactly what I hope to do on the City Council. I'm impressed by the remarkable council that we follow, many of whom are still here working with us today. I'm very appreciative of our other new council member who's about to be sworn in, and for the leadership that we expect from Mayor Hillary Sheevey. So thanks again for being here, and I'm just so thrilled to be part of the team.
Next, I'd like to recognize Paul McKenzie, and if he'll come up with his family. Whoever you wish to have. And I'd like to just say a few remarks with Paul McKenzie. The working people of Reno will have a strong voice on the Reno City Council. Paul has been an advocate and fighter for working men and women his whole adult life. He will work with everyone to bring jobs to the Reno area and make sure those jobs pay a decent wage, have basic benefits, and safe working conditions. It's my honor to swear in Paul McKenzie with his family's Bible. And at this time, I will ask, repeat after me. I, Paul McKenzie, do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and the Constitution and government of the state of Nevada against all enemies, whether domestic or foreign, and that I will bear true faith, allegiance, and loyalty to the same. Any ordinance, resolution, or law of any state notwithstanding, and I will do well and faithfully perform all the duties of the office of City Council Ward 4, on which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jesus. I want to thank my supporters and the people of the city of Reno for putting trust in me to hold this office. I will do the best job I can,
And in 4 years, you can give me a check-in and let me know if I deserve to be here still. Thank you very much for being here.
All right, Mayor and members of the City Council, the new City Council, the outgoing City Council, William Gardner, the Administrative Judge for the Reno Municipal Court. Before I swear in two colleagues and friends today for City Attorney and Reno Municipal Court Judge, I would be remiss if I didn't take again the opportunity to acknowledge and thank, as a lifetime resident of Reno and as a longtime employee in the City Attorney's Office and now a judge, the service of Sharon Zadra, Robert Cashel, and Dwight Dortch. I've been here my whole life. I've seen the city go from A to Z. And the last 12 years have been rankus, interesting, problematic, and challenging. And on a professional level and on a personal level, I want to thank each one of you, Sharon, Dwight, and Bob, for the difficult task you had managing the city through the bad times, the excitement of managing it through the good times, through your efforts, your high ethics, your commitment to public service. The community is very proud and sad to see each one of you go, and I speak professionally as the administrative judge and personally as a taxpayer and citizen of the Reno. I wish each one of you the best of luck. There's going to be some big shoes to fill on this council. You know, Ferris Bueller coined the line at the end of the movie, in the beginning of the movie, I've said it before and I'll say it again. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Being an elected official always isn't a walk in the park. It can be challenging, it can be frustrating, and each one of you have risen to the occasion, served graciously, professionally, ethically, and best of wish to all of you on your way out, and best of luck to the new council people who will be filling new shoes, a new mayor, and two new council people, Naomi and Paul. Good luck to all of you. That being said, my sister, who's a family court judge here in Washoe County, has told me over the years one of the highlights of an otherwise difficult job is doing adoptions, bringing families together, and she said it's rewarding and one of the highlights of the job. One of the highlights of my job, among others, but as the administrative judge, is I get to swear in, and it is a privilege and it is a highlight, a new city attorney today and a new municipal court judge. And what makes it all more rewarding for me is not only have I known Carl Hall and Gene Drakulich for a total combined, I think, 65 or 70 years, I'm going to get to work closely with both of these gentlemen. I need to make a couple comments about both. Carl Hall, if you don't know, who just was recently elected as our new city attorney, served 25 years in this community as a district attorney. He served a large portion of those years as a chief deputy district attorney. He prosecuted every kind of offense you can imagine, from misdemeanors to capital death penalty cases, gang cases, and served the community. And I know this, having worked in the same community, tirelessly and with great dedication. And he's going to be our new city attorney. We're looking forward to that. And I anticipate he's going to serve the city equally well as the city attorney. I've golfed with Carl. He's a good golfer. His wife, who had to leave today as an attorney in town, had to go to trial, so she's not here. He's got a wonderful family. He's committed to the community, and I think the citizens got it right, getting Carl onto the office of the city attorney. So Carl, come on up. It's a privilege to swear in Carl Hall as our next city attorney. I, Carl Hall,
I, Carl Hall,
do solemnly swear that I will support,
do solemnly swear that I will support,
protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States.
protect, and defend the Constitution of the government of the United States,
The Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the state of Nevada,
of the state of Nevada,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Reno,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Reno,
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and that I will bear true faith,
allegiance, and loyalty to the same,
allegiance, and loyalty to the same,
any ordinance,
resolution or law
of any state notwithstanding,
of any state notwithstanding,
and that I am not under any direct or indirect obligation
and that I am not under any direct or indirect obligation
to vote for,
appoint,
or elect any person to any office,
or elect any person to any office,
position, or employment in the City of Reno government,
position, or employment in the City of Reno government,
and that I will well and faithfully perform all the duties of the office of City Attorney on which I am about to enter. So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to take the position as the Reno City Attorney today. I'd like to thank everybody who participated in the political process. I'm especially proud to take this position, and I pledge to chart a steady legal course for the City Council and the City Manager's Office, and I look forward to providing the service, the legal service and advice that our city so richly deserves. Thank you very much.
Gene? I said earlier, I'm a lifetime resident. I'm a fourth generation Nevadan, and as much as I've seen the city grow and grow and grow and grow, you've been here a long time, and remember when the community was small, when your interaction with another family's interaction in the community spans almost 60 years. My mother, as a freshman at Minogue, had the honor and the privilege of having Duke Draculich, the oak tree of the family, as her teacher at Minogue. Fast forward 18 years later, and as a 15-year-old sophomore at Reno High, as I was driving home with my learner's permit in a rainstorm westbound on Keystone, as I approached 2nd Street, I had the opportunity to meet the Draculich family in a two-car collision, wherein Damon Draculich, Gene's older brother, who was then a junior at at Hug, and Duke and Gene's wife, Gene's mother, was also in the car. I turned in front of him, causing a massive collision. At 15, I was fairly traumatized, as you can imagine. I just got my permit, and Gene's older brother, all 6 feet and 150 pounds of him, at best, got out of the car, and he had an injured hand, and he had told me and yelled at me that I had ruined his professional college and football career, which really traumatized me. Duke Draculich, hearing this, immediately reprimanded and grabbed Damon and read him the riot act. And that's the kind of pillar in the Draculich family that has been there since way, way back. And as that oak tree has produced these numerous acorns in the family, Gene is one of them. Fast forward 3 years later, and 8 years later, I had the opportunity and the good time to spend 3 years at Reno High, where Gene was a student with me, and 4 years at the University of Nevada. And a couple little known things about the university where Gene, and at Reno High, he excelled academically. He also was a heavyweight boxer on the boxing team. And he just wasn't a guy on the team, he was the real deal. I had the opportunity in the old gym in about 1976 to watch him. Was it Frank Hawkins? No. Wayne Ferguson, a black belt, a buff, great athlete. They got in the gym, I guess it was in early martial arts, and Gene put the beat down on him and won that fight. Fast forward a few more years later, Gene goes off and goes to law school. And by the way, I wanted to mention my time at UNR. General Bath, Ron Bath, who's acknowledged today as being one of the two people responsible for donating those substantial sums to the veterans, to the city rather. Not only was General Bath a fighter pilot in the military and a general, He was my business law teacher for a year at the university. He was a plumber and a lawyer, truly a jack, a master of all trades. Ron, thank you, and it's good to see you. He was up there when both of us were up there. Anyway, Gene gets out of law school and he goes to work for the district attorney, and for 7 years, Gene, like Carl, prosecuted every type of criminal defendant, misdemeanors up to murders, rapists, kidnappers, arsonists, you name it, he did it. He served our community tirelessly and with great esteem in the district attorney's office. He opened his own office after 7 years where he practiced criminal defense, personal injury, pro tem'd at our court as a judge over the years, was one of my pro tems, and I was delighted professionally and personally to see Gene get elected without an opponent at the municipal court. He starts this afternoon. We've been ready for him. We're happy, we're excited to have him here. As I swear him in, I want to bring, his wife also is a lawyer who is stuck in trial today as well, Kathy. So she's not here, but Elena Draculich, I know, is here somewhere. And Joe Draculich is here. Elena, where are you? Come on up, and Joe, come on up. This is Gene's younger brother, Joe. We're going to swear you, and I want you both to be up here. And Elena is his daughter. Come on up. The comments about Duke Draculich, a man with that type of integrity, as a father and a leader in the community, has sons and relatives, and I know them all, that turn out like the Draculiches, are really a fabulous, fabulous family in our community. And if you don't know the Draculich, you've either not been here long or you've had your head in the sand. It's a pleasure. Gene, raise your hand. I, Gene S. Draculich,
I, Gene S. Draculich,
do solemnly swear that I will support,
I solemnly swear that I will support,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States,
the Constitution and government of the United States,
the Constitution and government
Constitution and government
of the state of Nevada,
of the state of Nevada,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Reno,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Reno,
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and I will bear true faith,
allegiance, and loyalty
allegiance, and loyalty
to the same.
to the same,
Any ordinance,
any ordinance,
resolution, or law
resolution, or law
of any state notwithstanding,
of any state notwithstanding,
and that I am not under any direct
and that I am not under any direct
or indirect
or indirect
obligation to vote for,
to vote for,
appoint, or elect
appoint, or elect
any person to any office,
any person in the office,
position, or employment
position, or employment
in the city of Reno government,
in the city of Reno government,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office
of the office
of municipal court judge,
municipal court judge,
Department 1,
Department 1,
on which I am about to enter.
about which I am about to enter.
So help me God. As part of the process of an elected judge, we're going to have Gene robed by his daughter and his brother, thanks to our court administrator, Cassandra Jackson. He'll be taking office this afternoon. We have his office ready, and then we're going to have him put the robe on here.
Yeah, ask him for help. It's the best I've seen the Draculich look.
I'd like to thank everyone, and when I get back to the office, I'm gonna see if the statute of limitations is run on Billy on that traffic offense. I have two blessings. One is I went unopposed, so I didn't have to run a campaign. And the second is having my brother and my beautiful daughter here with me. Really looking forward. I'm so appreciative of all the people that supported me. I'm really looking forward to working with the other judges, Judge Gardner, Judge Holmes, Judge Howard, people like Cassie and Katrina. You know, when I started looking into the municipal court, I realized that the infrastructure there, it's not the judges who run the court, it's the people like Katrina and Cassie. It's a great group of individuals and anyone else that works at the municipal court. And, you know, special recognition to Ron Bath. I've known Ron for a long time, and the work that he and Perry do for the Support Alliance is just unbelievable. My brother Joe lost a boy in Afghanistan in '08, and the work that everyone does, and the people that spoke, the young man from Afghanistan, what an incredible speech. I'm so blessed to be here. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to recess for a little reception out in the area. And then, Mayor, when you come back, this is your chair.
It really does work. I'd like to call this meeting back to order. First of all, before I do start, I do want to recognize a few people that I've really been honored to serve with for the last 2 years, Councilwoman Breckus and Councilman Delgado. Thank you so much. I think we have accomplished a lot, and Councilwoman Jordan, we've all accomplished a lot in the last 2 years, and it's been an honor. And I'd like to welcome our 2 new members. I'm so excited to have you guys, Councilwoman Dewar and Councilman McKenzie. So thank you so much. All right. And by the way, we'll probably go a little bit slower because I want to savor every moment of my first meeting. Okay, so, Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Breckus?
Here.
Dewar? Here. Delgado?
Here.
McKenzie?
Here.
Jordan? Shevey?
Here.
Madam Mayor, the next item on the agenda is H1, City Council Annual Election of Vice Mayor from its members.
All right, does the council desire a staff presentation, or do you want to expedite this process and give me a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to nominate Councilman Oscar Delgado for the vice chair position or vice mayor position.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thanks.
Yes.
Congratulations, Councilman Delgado. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, we do not have any presentations for this agenda, so the next item is item J, consent agenda.
All right. Do we have any public comment on consent agenda? None? Okay, great. Are there any items that council would like to pull for consent? None?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I would like to pull item J1A1.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. So I have a motion and a second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Now let's pull item J1 for Councilwoman Dewar.
Thank you. I don't know if Mr. Asher is in the audience here today. Not here? I just wanted to make a comment that a number of us had an opportunity to attend the opening of the Buy Nevada First Gift Shop and Visitor Center. And speaking for all of those that were there, I think we were really impressed with the level and quality of the materials that were presented and the opportunity right here in our own Reno Town Mall to buy local. And I just wanted to acknowledge the efforts of everyone that made that possible.
By the way, I would just like to add, are you here, Mr. Asher? Oh, you're not? Oh, okay. Anyway, I was there last week, incredibly impressed. I encourage everyone to shop there over Christmas. It's impressive, so thank you.
All right, do I have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve item J1A1.
All right, so I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, next item on the agenda is J2.
J2. Okay, so then we will approve all the rest of the agenda items,
No, you did that
correct?
already.
Yeah, so we're going to go to
J2.
J2.
Yep.
All right, perfect. Right.
Presentation.
Sorry. Would council like a staff presentation on this next item? Ms. Breckus? No?
I can make a
Wow,
motion.
okay, great. Perfect.
Motion to approve.
All right, so I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Madam Mayor, we do not have any 12:15 public hearings on this agenda. The next item up is item L1 under resolutions.
Resolution number 8022, resolution authorizing the Director of Public Works to execute purchase orders or required contracts for the purchase of materials and equipment for street and traffic signal maintenance and repairs pursuant to Chapter 332 of the Nevada Revised Statutes for fiscal year 2014-2015.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Manager, and members of the council, for the record, Director of Public Works, John Flansburgh. This item for you today, we've done this, I think this is the third year we've had this. It was recommended that we go ahead and accept by resolution, delegating the authority for the Director of Public Works to initiate purchase orders that you have approved. You will be seeing in the next couple meetings different items, for instance, salt, sand for winter storms, crack seal material, those types of items. You will take action on them just like every other action. There will be an amount to it. It's just when we actually come to initiating those contracts, it just allows the director to sign for those, again, items you've already approved.
All right, any questions?
I have a question,
counsel?
Mr. Flansburgh. Does any of this money that we use involve any cooperative agreements we have in maintaining signals outside of the city of Reno jurisdictions? Are we doing signal maintenance anywhere else?
We do have an interlocal agreement to perform signal maintenance for Washoe County signals.
Okay.
And as far as any of the items that we approved, it is possible that there will be some materials, but I don't remember, I can't recall anything that we have here. Those would be within my purchase limit that I would purchase it regardless.
And that interlocal flows some funds over to us for
That is
our
correct. We are
maintenance?
compensated by Washoe County for maintaining their signals.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? No? All right. Can I have a motion, please, then? All right. Motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Mayor, we do not have any ordinance introductions on this agenda. The next item up is item N1, discussion and possible direction on methods to fill vacancy on the Reno City Council.
Okay, thank you. Does council desire a staff presentation at this time, or would you like to go into discussion?
Madam Mayor, I would be interested to know if the staff had a proposal or a standing proposal for perhaps how this might have been done before.
Okay, that would be fine. Who do you have under staff? Mr. City Manager. Hold on, just before we start, I would like to say, because it is my seat and there will be a vacancy on the seat, I want to make sure that council understands that I want this to be an open and transparent process. I will encourage anyone to apply who has interest in serving on the Reno City Council. And I think it's an incredible opportunity, but I just want to make sure that that we expedite this as quickly as possible, because I also do feel that we have a lot of work to get done, and I want to hit the ground running. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, in your packet under item N1 is a staff report, and within that staff report, you'll note there are two methods to fill a vacancy on the City Council. One is through a special election, and the other is through an appointment process. And so we have laid out those as two options within the staff report. It's up to council on the path that you choose. I would note for the record, though, that if you go the special election route, that is estimated to cost between $150,000 and $200,000. We do have, if you go the appointment process, we have a recommended timeline on there, but given the urgency to fill this seat, we certainly can expedite it even more so than what is laid out in the staff report currently.
All right, fantastic.
Carl's.
Oh, Carl?
Madam
Mr.
Mayor, Tracy
Oh.
Chase, Reno City Attorney's Office. Let me introduce Carl Hall, the city attorney. He will be providing the staff report.
Welcome. Yay!
Thank you, Mayor Sheevy and city council members, Mr. Manager. My name is Carl Hall, for the record, and Manager Klinger has outlined the staff report indicating that there are two options. Obviously, the spot has to be filled within 30 days. That's why we have a recommended timeline. Obviously, the fiscal impact of the election makes that probably the less desirable option. Not knowing how many people are going to apply for the position is going to be an issue with respect to vetting out those applicants. However, we have prepared a package for your review to send out to the prospective applicants, and we would also request that you advise the city clerk to advertise and send out notification that applications are being accepted, and the applicants must comply with or waive the open meeting law requirements. And then it's up to you to discuss on the record. I think it would be appropriate to determine how you want to reduce the number of applicants for serious consideration. So not knowing how many applicants you're going to have, if it's 100, for example, you may want to take the top 5, each council member pick 5, and then see if there are a number of consistent applicants that everybody believes would be somebody to consider for the position. And then that vetting process can also change during the course of the application process if it's not working. So you have the authority to make any decisions you want with respect to the application process. But keep in mind, it's going to take 30 days, so we need to get the notices out, get the applications in, and start reviewing those applicants. So do you have any questions for me?
Discussion?
Question?
Any questions?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Reading the staff report, I didn't notice if there was a restriction under the law, how long we'd have to leave the application process open, if the law's got a restriction to that, or if it's something we can solely decide.
You can decide.
Madam Mayor?
Yes. Councilwoman Jordan.
Thank you. I think the question I had was, what precisely would be the notification process? Because I fully agree that the faster we can do this from an efficiency standpoint, the faster would be, I think, for everybody involved. But the outreach to ensure that we are letting everyone know that the application period is open and when it closes and what that process will be. How are we pushing the notification?
I would recommend the process that we use for the agenda would be at least a starting point, since the agenda has to be put on the website. We could also advertise it in the newspaper and ask, the local media to indicate that we are looking for another city council member, and if they want to fill out an application, where the applications are available and where they need to be sent to, obviously, our city clerk.
Could that be something that we do immediately, like now?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we have a package already prepared that you can review. You can review the application, which is pretty much a standard application for employment through the city. And of course, there's the standard requirements that they be an elector living in the city.
Okay, perfect.
Madam Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe,
Yes, Councilwoman
recognize-
Breckus.
Mr. Hall, in your office's research of filling vacancies in other jurisdictions in our state, have you seen other occurrences of this waiver of open meeting law requirements as a provision that has been utilized? I've never seen that before. I'm just wondering what the concept would be. So the six of us then could meet in a closed session and kind of throw applications around and, check off? I mean, I'm just, I know it's a difficult question.
I don't anticipate you
I'm-
meeting together in a closed session to consider applicants. What I am anticipating is that you individually pick the applicants that you think meet the requirements that you desire. And then we have an open meeting where there is discussion on those applicants. So we're certainly not trying to in any way sidestep the open meeting law. All of the discussions on the applicants are going to be on the record in compliance with the open meeting law.
Okay, so the waiver, the purpose of the waiver is
For that individual to allow you to actually consider as an individual council member. And then if there's any time requirements on the notice is the only thing.
On the notice?
On it not being agendized, or we're just sending out notice to.
Oh, for the agenda. Okay,
Right.
so we wouldn't convene as a group and I'm thinking of like a job recruitment process. Okay.
Madam Mayor, Tracy Chase, if I might add to Councilmember Breckis's question, under the open meeting law, to talk about somebody's character and competence, there's minimum notice requirements, and that is 5 working days if by hand delivery, or if it's by certified mail, it is through a process of 21 working days. The waiver has been used by the city of Reno before, and I actually contacted the AG years ago, and they said the process was fine, because what they're waiving is their individual notice that this council is going to be discussing their character to hold the position.
Councilman Delgado, do you have some questions?
Yes. Not directly to you, Carl. I don't have any questions to you, more for
Okay.
discussion.
Alrighty.
Purposes. It sounds to me that we're not going to do the special elections. We're doing the appointment. So we're looking at number 2. I, along with you, Madam Mayor, feel that we need to get this done as soon as possible so we can move forward. If I could throw some ideas out, would it be possible to open up and ask for those in the community for letters of interest and resumes to be submitted as of tomorrow, and then accept those up until the following Wednesday, next Wednesday, until the end of business day? And then will allow us enough time to review those resumes and such. And then I imagine this is going to be a very long process, and we may need to do this. And Andrew, I'm looking at you as well, and Madam Mayor, should we possibly look at doing a special meeting after the 24th that will specifically just deal with the appointment of a new city council person, so we can give that person time and whoever else is applying? I'm just trying to think, and I'd love for this to be done before Thanksgiving. Enough time for, if someone is appointed, it gives them enough time to have that holiday period and everything else as we start moving forward. I don't know if that's too quick for you guys, but I imagine if we accept tomorrow up until the end of business day on Wednesday, we have a special meeting possibly on the 25th. The meeting is on the 24th, so on the 25th, where we would appoint somebody, and possibly look at that 25th meeting that we ask the council members to come forward with their top 3 picks. And at that time, we can ask possibly the city clerk to then tally those, and we would be able to question and interview those candidates at that time and make that appointment.
Councilman Delgado, in fact, in the staff report, what staff had recommended is that if the council did want to appoint the at-large position, we recommended a special meeting because it is such an important topic and it will take some time. And our next regular meeting is on November 24th. We will have a full agenda. We intentionally kept this agenda light, so we'll have a full agenda on the 24th. So I don't think we would do any service by trying to put that item on the 24th. So I think a special meeting on the 25th or 26th would probably be the best way to proceed. You just have to have the entire process completed prior to December 12th.
Right. Yeah, I imagine saying the 25th only because maybe people want to leave town on the 26th, that Wednesday, before Thanksgiving. So I'm open to anyone else's ideas.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman Jordan.
And I would agree with Councilmember Delgado. My only concern is that we're getting proper notice out, and I would just ask if we could utilize our communications department to facilitate with all of our media contacts to get it out. This is a little special situation rather than the usual posting of the agenda. If we use other avenues, particularly if we're going to expedite it that much, which I tend to agree with, that would be my only request.
Yeah.
Okay. Madam Mayor,
Councilwoman Breckus.
I'm open to the schedule as outlined, with the caveat that if we have 150 applications to wade through, that could really look like a lot, in addition to a very full 24th agenda. But I think I can support moving that course. I'd like the meeting to be as early as possible on the 25th, for those reasons. The number 3, Mr. Delgado, why did you pick 3? I would prefer maybe a ranking a little deeper, because there's a lot of people who have expressed interest in, I'd like to see the top 5 that you all see, because maybe, it would make me take another look at someone who, I might not have had, and I'm more interested in where you all go, and 3 might not give us the best number. So I don't know, with the interest that we're seeing, I don't know, particularly since I think in the last 2 election cycles, the interest in seats on the Reno City Council, as demonstrated by the participation in the primaries, has been deep. So maybe 5 would be a good number for us to all rank, and, you go 1 through 5, and, so the lowest score is the top getter. I don't know, obviously the manager can work on a scoring system, but I would think 5 would be a number that I'd be comfortable ranking, but I don't know where the 3.
I came up with 3 for just trying to narrow down as much as we can for all other purposes. I think if we have a larger number, not that 5 is extremely much larger, but just to narrow it down on our candidates, my hope is that we'd all kind of start wanting to. But I'm open. I'm open to 1 and a 5. I'd like to hear from the rest of the council members if you guys want to do 5 or
Okay.
a different number. My
We can
idea
meet in
was
the middle,
3
do
more.
4. Councilman McKenzie.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The question we're talking about a pretty short time frame here, and I know that I've probably had close to 60 people contact me voicing their interest, and to thoroughly vet that many people and give due justice to those, I'm wondering if we're not trying to cut the time frame too close. We've got 30 days, and we've got a meeting the first part of December that would get us within the time frame before the 30 days. I'm wondering if we wouldn't be better suited to give proper overview of the applicants to extend that time frame out a little bit. The other concern I have is that if we have 150 applicants and we do happen to break it down to 5, 10, whatever the number we decide on, at some point or another, we're going to have to sit down as a group to go through that analysis of those people to try to come out with what we think is the best candidate. And if we enter into a process where we're interviewing those people and asking them questions, is that something that we have to put on the public record, or is that something that we can handle in such the same way as we would an employee hearing with an employee, which is this would be more of a question for our city attorney, but is that something that we could have similar to an employment session when we're handling an issue with the city, a public employee?
That'd be open meeting issue.
Yeah, City Attorney Tracy Chase or
Carl Hall.
Carl Hall.
Yes, that would be on the record in compliance with the open meeting law. So we would not be meeting with them. You could meet with them individually if you wanted to. However, as a group, it must be on the record.
Okay, so,
I think, Madam Scott.
well, no, I was just going to say, so with the selection process, the only thing I'm concerned about is expediting this as soon as possible. I really want to get someone, because we've got to move along with boards and commissions and things of that nature. So I would really personally like to do it as soon as possible. But I want to be respectful of the rest of the council and make sure, I hear your desires. So from what I'm hearing is we would take applications today, we would close it off till, what's the date?
19th.
Take applications tomorrow and close
Close it.
on the 19th.
19th.
Next Wednesday, end of business day.
Then have a special meeting on the 25th, correct? And choose 3 to 5 applicants out of that to interview in an open meeting process, correct?
Correct.
So the meeting we have on the 25th would be when we did those interviews.
Correct.
Madam
And
Mayor,
it might-
Tracy Chase, Reno City Attorney's Office, has a suggestion. When this council previously chose or appointed a judge, you put out there as part of the application process for the applicants to prepare for a 3-minute presentation to the council. Would you like us to include that in the advertising materials?
I think that would be fantastic. I think the more information we have, the better. How do you feel?
I absolutely agree. I think having spent 20 years in HR, paper can be great, but the in-person interviews are invaluable. So I totally agree with that.
And I think it'd be great to interview in front of the public and community, because as we all got elected, we had to interview in front of countless folks, and so, of course, we've got to ask them. And
Maybe
so
we
the
could do a
voters-
debate. I had 10 of them.
Well, if I may, just a second, I was thinking that presentation interview would be after we made an initial cut of maybe the top
Correct.
5. That's, okay, not everyone. I mean, we could potentially ask for some video presentation, 30 seconds, but I think the paper is enough to go off of. But I want to get back to Mr. McKenzie's point of concern about the timeline. I do want to move quickly, but I do understand that, particularly for the new folks, Thanksgiving's what, the 27th?
Yes.
We got a big meeting on the 24th.
Correct.
I don't know. I mean, maybe we could call a special meeting on the 1st. I don't know. I mean,
For the second.
Just for,
I
for,
just don't know.
for council's clarification, Madam Mayor, if I might, our first 2 meetings in December are December 3rd and December 10th.
Right, one after the other.
I mean, it would be good to get the person on, particularly as we do our boards and commissions appointments, but I know.
I think it's very important to make sure we all know who are going to be sitting on these boards and committees as we move forward. And they represent us across the region on these different boards and committees, and that's going to be important for us.
To that point, I guess then, and I know maybe we're not prepared to fully answer this, do we know which boards would be lacking a quorum in order to facilitate a meeting before, if we met before the second meeting in December? In other words, do we know where the deficit might fall? That's what I'm kind of, I'm a little concerned about the 5-day workday turnaround. I'd like to see like 10.
I think the boards and committees are going to be done on the 24th.
We-
That's when
we-
we'll make those appointments, correct?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, we currently have the board and commission appointments scheduled to the 24th. That certainly, if council wanted to wait for that at-large seat to be filled, that is something you could certainly put off. I think there is one meeting, it's not a quorum issue, but it's one meeting where we won't have a representative. We'll have one instead of 2, and that's the RTC. I think they meet on the 20th. So even as it sits today, we have at least one meeting that I'm aware of where we will be short a representative on that. I'd have to look on the other boards and commissions if you wanted to do the board and commission appointments at a date later than the 24th.
Can I tell you why I value that process? One, I think we need to give great consideration for our new members and whoever gets the appointment of the at-large seat, and learn more about their backgrounds and what boards and commissions they'd like to be on. And I think by kind of cramming this on the 24th, we may be not vetting that process sufficiently enough. If the RTC is the only one we have to be concerned with, the quorum is still there. And if someone wants to appoint an interim person. But I'd like to give due respect to our new members and whoever gets appointed to the at-large seat, so we can all discuss, all of the boards and commissions, maybe more thoroughly. And I'm not saying a long period of time. I agree with expediting things, but maybe noticing it for 10 days, and maybe doing it at the meeting on the 13th.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Oh, go ahead,
Just
Councilwoman
a
Dewar.
couple questions here. So if we followed that, Councilwoman Jordan, would we appoint on the 3rd, the boards and commissions? Is that what you were thinking? rather than the 24th?
I guess.
Well, we may. I
Right.
mean, if we did, as Mr. McKenzie suggested, and had the interview process, let's say on the 1st or 2nd, we would have some people, at least they would have 24 hours to think about it. And I mean, the current way that we have it set up is that the boards and commissions would be on the 24th, and we wouldn't even be interviewing the person to the 25th. That's how it's set up right now, if we do this process. The other way would be to have the interview process on the 1st or 2nd, the boards appointed on the 3rd. I think certainly any boards that haven't been, have issues, there's alternates, you have temporary appointments, I'm sure we can make that work. And I also wanted to reach out to Councilwoman Breckus because I support what she said about having more than 3. I would like to recommend up to 5. That, if a person only wanted to recommend 3, maybe they would only recommend 3. And I imagine there has to be some kind of scoring system so that you're 5 and you're 5 and you're 5, that at the end of the day, there may be a top 3. Out of that, even though we recommend 5 apiece, there may come to the 3. It's often we see it in hiring, 3 come out at the top, and we interview those 3. And so that's, I want to support her in that, because especially if you really have received 60 conversations or emails or whatever. I have not received that many, but I mean, at least 20. This might be sort of a compromise where we could, I would like to go deeper too, to be honest with you. And if there's 60 or 100. So I don't know, is there a path forward here where we could go a little deeper, take a little longer, but still make our deadlines? And make sure that one more meeting doesn't go by without a third, without the seat filled, which would be the third.
If I might jump in, Madam Mayor, I think the path forward under that scenario would be if you wanted to take the applications for a longer period of time, say you wanted to go the 10 days, you could accept, instead of the 19th, you could accept them through the 21st. And then have what I would recommend is then having a special meeting on the 1st. If each council member ranks their top 5, we can then tally those top 5 and take the lowest scores, if you will. And if at that time council desires to interview the top 3, the top 5, I mean, that's your decision. And then if the council wants to wait for that appointment, then we could bring the boards and commissions appointments on December 3rd, on the regular meeting.
May I interject? I like that, Mr. Klinger. How about if on the first, if the first we convened and said, here's the scoring, and everyone can know and watch if they're interested, and say, we will exercise the ability to have another special meeting on the 2nd for interviews. Mm-hmm. And make a decision that day, and on the 3rd, they're appointed. That's clogging us up with 2 special meetings, but on the 1st and the 2nd, it's far enough out, it gives everyone else notice that, we start at 9 and we'll.
And I would like to make sure that we do 3 for the interviews.
Okay.
Instead of 5. I would suggest 3 instead of 5.
Right, but we could, excuse me, we could rank our top 5, but then we'll come to a top 3 of those.
Yeah.
I like the idea that you just proposed, to be honest with you, of having the rankings so that the people have an opportunity to think about it and get their presentation together for the next day and do it, and it won't take that long. I mean, if we have 3 people and they're allowed 3 minutes and we have some board discussion, I mean, this isn't going to be a very long meeting, and that would give them the rest of the day to know what's going on.
And Mayor and Council, you certainly have the ability to give them more than 3 minutes too, if you wanted to allow each a 15-minute presentation, 5-minute, whatever it is.
How about if we schedule tentatively, well, per this schedule, the 1st and the 2nd, just special meetings starting at
9.
Is everyone okay? 9 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
10 o'clock? I don't care. I don't know if that conflicts with anyone's existing board and commission that they're already on.
So if you could just do me a favor, Councilman Brett, can you say all again?
Of the schedule again?
from just-
Okay, I'll
yeah.
let Mr. Klinger say it, because he said, well, I'll do it. They'll open today. They will close on the 21st. They will be distributed to us on the 21st, so we will have more or less the long holiday weekend to look at them. On the 28th, we will submit to the clerk our numbered rankings. Those will be open.
And we're saying 3 or 5?
Between 3 and 5, our top. Lowest is your number 1, so
Is the number 3 that we're submitting or 5?
up to 5. So
to
if
5.
you just, that's how,
So we're doing, okay.
yeah, we could do up to 5 if you only find 3 you want to do. Then with special meetings on the first to, tally the scores and say where they are. Or maybe on the first, if the score's out, we just release the
Well,
scores.
couldn't you do it on one meeting, actually,
Yeah.
though?
Right.
This
Right.
seems,
You're right.
right?
Yeah, I think that the tallying of the scores is relatively
Yeah.
simple and straightforward. I mean, I think the simplest scoring is council members just rank their top 5.
Exactly.
You take
Top
the
5.
low scores and the top 3 rise to the top. I mean, that's a 15-minute process for us to do that. So I don't know if you need 2 meetings
You're
unless
right.
you wanted to do something
You're
different.
right, you're right. So on the 28th, by a certain time, the manager will tell us to turn in our scoring. He will announce those immediately, and those people, those top 3 know that they will come in on, say, the first or the second for an interview process.
First?
I would prefer the first.
Okay.
Quite frankly. Other suggestion? You're okay? You're all right?
And
Okay,
if
so
I
the
may, I'm
first-
just a little bit confused. I'm not loving the 28th for handing this in, which is the family day after Thanksgiving. You said it's a pretty quick process. It's all about, Mr. Manager, it's all about notifying those people, I think, giving them enough time to know. So would it be okay to do it on the 29th or 30th? I mean, the 28th isn't a work day for you anyway, is it?
Notify them on the November 28th? Is that what you're?
No, what I'm
Yeah, that is a
suggesting
holiday, actually, yeah.
is notifying them on the 30th. I'm just trying to give us also 7 days or something to go through all the applications and to give you our scoring.
Well, if, on the 21st is when we would receive all of the all the letters of interest and resumes.
Right.
So we would have a week from the 28th to get all that done. You'd have the weekend, Thanksgiving, not that it's up to folks, but you'd have the 28th, so you'd have a week
Okay.
to go through them. And then we would notify those folks that were chosen, the top rankings, we'd be notify either the 28th, 29th, or 30th, I'm sure.
We could notify them, even though it is a holiday that weekend, I mean, we could notify them. I think probably the easiest way to notify them is going to be email, just to expedite the process. Email, phone calls, we can let them know on the 28th if that's.
And I think it's also a given when they apply that they've got to be, of course, conscious of being aware, like on the 28th or something, get notification and be ready for the first if they're chosen.
I wouldn't want to turn your resume in at the last minute. Probably wouldn't.
Right.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
may I be recognized? I apologize for
Absolutely.
butting in, but just a couple procedural things that I want to be sure that I clarify. I believe I heard Councilwoman Breckus say correctly that the desire is for applications to be due on the 21st of November, and that those applications would be prepared and delivered to the council that same day. I would ask for council's indulgence of a few hours for your staff to prepare those packets. So perhaps as you give the notice today and when we advertise it, that notice would require that those applications be submitted to the city clerk no later than 3 p.m. That would give her and her staff time to prepare those packets and deliver them to you. And then perhaps an option for your consideration in selecting your finalists that you would interview on the 1st would be to place an item on the agenda for your meeting on November 24th. So that is done in a public process. There's no question as to whether or not staff manipulated the items that had been delivered by you. Not that I believe that would be the case, but it keeps with the indication that you have all made that it be a very transparent process. We can place an item on the agenda for the 24th where you could bring those rankings back. I know that's a short time for you to get through those, but that may allow for the most transparent process, at which point folks would be notified.
Yeah.
Wait, that means then
Does-
that we
you
get them
can't
on
do
the
the 24th.
21st,
Yeah,
and we
that
only
only
have
give us
till the
2 days.
24th.
Yeah, I don't think
No,
that'd be enough time.
I think we do need, I've heard the other members express a desire to not turn in their rankings until, have more days than that. Maybe turn them in until the 28th. It's going to be public record. I mean, it's a piece of paper that can easily be PDF'd and sent out with the to everyone. The media will inquire. So I think we're okay doing it that way. And then we just have that meeting on the 1st with the top 3 doing their presentations.
Madam Mayor, Tracy Chase, just so you are aware, Reno City Attorney's Office, by the way, Councilmember Breckus is accurate. All of this will be part of the public record. So the public will be entitled to know who has put in an application. You can see that currently on the state's website, for example, where they are trying to get appellate court judges on a very short timeline, and they gave them a week to fill in their applications. And they are posting the person's name, not all of the specifics of where they live or information that's personal, but their name on the website as they come in. I just put that out there in case you would like to consider that. But in addition, when you have the ranking completed, if each of you will have to, in your own personal time, determine your ranking and not discuss it with other council members, because I'm concerned that there might be a complaint of what's called a walking quorum. And that means under the open meeting law, when one council member talks to another council member and talks to another council member, and then through those communications, a decision is made, that could be a violation of the open meeting law. So each individual council member's ranking could go to the clerk, and then that would be available to the public. Everything that goes to the entire council or everything that goes to the clerk will be considered supplemental materials under the open meeting law and would be entitled for public viewing. Except like social security numbers and things like that would not be
Can we
public.
make a stab? Make a stab.
And just to clarify, council would get those as soon as they come in. Okay, perfect. Councilwoman Jordan?
I was going to make a motion, but we've got public comment on the item.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'd like to take public comment before we do make a motion.
Councilman McKenzie down
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman McKenzie.
Just one thing that was brought up here about the timeline when the applications are turned in. There's some other things that staff's going to have to do besides just generate copies of those to get them to us. They're going to have to check to make sure that the person is a registered voter, that they actually live in the city limits. So there's going to be a process that they're going to have to go through. I think, in all fairness to staff, that we should make the 20th the deadline and then expect the applications to us by the 21st. That gives them a full day to work on those applications, make sure that the applicants meet the qualifications outlined in the statute and before we receive those applications, because we don't want to have to do that.
Okay, just, I have staff over here all going.
Yes, thank you, Councilman. That is a great idea.
Sorry, I called you
Thank
out. I agree with you. I think that's a great idea.
What, question maybe for council too, sorry, Madam Mayor.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Would folks that are looking at applying for that large position go in and actually sign up with the clerk as though they are, as we did when we went and filed for
Yeah,
office?
Tracy Chase, Reno City Attorney's Office. What we put as a recommendation in your staff report is they would pay the same fee that you paid to run for the office, and that be provided with their application. And their application packet would include a letter of interest. It would include a full employment application that the City of Reno has, and also the open meeting law waiver. So those items would come in. If there's any social security numbers or things like that in the exhibit of our, and I don't think we even have it on our employment application for the City of Reno because we keep those off of that document, but their address would be on there, their permanent place of residence and all that, so that the clerk could look to see if they reside in the City of Reno.
Okay.
And we could also have them affirm that they have resided here and are a qualified elector, which is what is required by the statute as part of the application process. So whatever process you determine today, we would also ask for just a couple hours to finalize up that paperwork so all the dates comport with what council directs.
Okay. Mr. City Manager, did you want to try?
Well, I just want to sort of clarify where we're at. So where we're at is we would open the applications, the application period tomorrow. posting it through our various avenues using our Office of Communication and Community Engagement. We could push it out on social media and our other avenues. And then the applications would be, so we would open it on the 13th. We would close the application period on the 20th at 5 p.m. I think that was a very good suggestion. Staff would then compile that information, get that information back to council, do the verification process, because you're absolutely right. That's part of what we have to do. Get that completed, get that information back to council on the 28th, which is a Friday, or the 21st, which is a Friday. And then what I heard was that council members would then get their rankings back to staff by the 28th. We would then compile those and send out a notification to the top 3. Is that what we decided on? Interviewing was the top?
Top 3. I think we should do top 3.
And then we would have a special meeting on December 1st to interview the top 3 candidates in a public meeting.
Madam Mayor, Tracy Chase, Reno City Attorney's Office. One addition to that for your consideration, but if there is a tie, that would not be appropriate for staff to determine that tie. So the actual ranking, because each of you will be bringing your separate list, we recommend that you do that in a public meeting.
Do what?
Do the ranking in the public meeting. I mean, the clerk can come back with a staff report that says, Council Member Breckus recommended 1 through 5. Council Member Jardon recommended 1 through 5, and put the names together. And also could put together a tally that maybe one individual got 3 of yours, but you really, if council has to take action as a whole, so the clerk shouldn't be tallying up your individual thoughts until you have a discussion on the record and have a motion as to the whole body's top 5.
But,
That'd be on the
Madam
first.
Mayor,
Everything would be on the first. Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. I believe that we could do that at the same meeting. We could confirm, the first thing is confirming the tallying. If there is a tie, that information will be out there. We will reserve discretion that we go with 4, that we do something else. I don't know.
Right.
Something. But I don't think we need a second separate meeting. It's just an item on the first, is my thing.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, absolutely, you could do it in the same meeting. The point is that we recommend legally to do it in the public meeting on the record.
Tracy, would it be, just a question for me, would we be able to notify those that based on staff's compilation of the rankings of who we felt the top 5 were or whatever? Before the first, I mean, the
whole day off.
Right.
And what if they don't make the top 3 and now they've taken the whole day off from maybe their current job and
If
they didn't
council
make the
gives
cut?
direction for you to notify the top 5, or if there's ties, those tiebreakers would be included. So it could be 5, it could be 6, it could be 8. You could do that you could do a percentage point type of thing that, say, for example, if 4 council members pick the same person, then it would not be a council vote. All it would be to a request to come to the meeting.
and then do the official tallying on the first.
City Attorney Tracy Chase, really quickly, what is the standard? Is it typically 5 people that you choose from? I mean, you guys have done this before, whether it comes from judges, things like that. Is it 5 or 3 or, I guess I just don't want to,
Madam
I
Mayor,
foresee some
that is
chaos.
Certainly, that is a judgment call that's in this council's authority to make. I would suggest, especially if you just give limited amount of times. I remember when the judges came through and gave their presentations. I think in that meeting, the council interviewed probably 15 people. But so it's up to you if you think that the top 5, the top 3, whatever you would choose, or in that meeting. And we can put out in the notice that they are prepared the presentation at the same day they really even learn the top candidates.
I just want to really narrow it down, to be quite honest with you. I think that will expedite much faster and relieve a lot of us.
Madam Mayor, one of the things I'm struggling with is this, what our attorney just brought up, which is that learning it, moments before you have to give a presentation. I'm struggling with that. And so I was really preferring the 2 separate days, but if 2 separate days is not good, What if we did a process where in the morning, we evaluate the applications, do this formal process we've discussed, get to our top 3 or 5, figure that out at that meeting, we make a decision based on where we see the rankings are, and come back in the afternoon and maybe have the interviews in the afternoon. It gives at least a separation.
Right.
It gives the people some time to get prepared. It's all still happening on the same day. But, I've been uncomfortable with this kind of, I don't know, it's reminding me of a game show or something where you're instantly selected and you have to go perform. And it doesn't set quite right with me. And, maybe just making sure it's the one day, but kind of separating the process a little might work.
May I?
Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, honestly, I don't. So, but I would kind of like to do it in one day. I really would.
I'm fine with that. I'm
Okay.
just saying maybe
Yeah.
the morning and the afternoon.
Right.
May I,
I understand.
May I suggest something, Madam Mayor? If we're all turning something in on the 28th, people can do math. So 6 documents get loaded up. Everyone can do math, and those top 3 people will be here on the 1st.
Right.
A test of being a council member, is knowing, how to run this campaign and doing the math and seeing I scored, I'll be here. Maybe that's an option. It does not show that there's been any de facto action taken by the manager or staff. So with that, I think that may.
Tracy Chase, Reno City Attorney's Office. Yes, there should be, so you're absolutely right, council member. There should not be any de facto type of judgment call on the manager or staff because this is totally a city council appointment and you have to do it as an operating body.
Okay. Any further discussion? I'd like to go into public comment, actually. Or, excuse me.
If I may,
Katie.
please forgive me. I just want to be certain that there's an awareness that with the 28th, and your staff is absolutely willing to do this, but your staff will be coming in on that Family Day holiday.
Yeah, and I don't want that. Actually, no, absolutely not. Not happening.
If the date that this body will submit to the manager, your choices is the 28th. That's the Friday, the Family Day holiday. So your staff will come in, prepare those documents, upload them to the website, make them available, would notify those persons who've been in that ranking, and that would be the Friday, the holiday, and they would need to know. So I know that it will put additional pressure on this council to do so, but you might want to consider if you could make that selection by close of business on the 26th.
I would agree.
I
Absolutely.
agree with that. We can certainly do our rankings in an expedited amount of time, and I would never interrupt a family day. So I would agree with that. I don't want to interrupt the family day. I think that's very important. And frankly, we're all going to be enjoying our families that day, not ranking things. I'm fine with the 22nd.
Okay.
So we get.
I just wanted to agree.
You wanted to agree? Okay. Councilman McKenzie.
I've been sitting over here kind of mulling over the fact that we were looking at the day after Thanksgiving, and I was wondering if our city didn't have the day after Thanksgiving off.
Well, you were just worried you were going to be tired over turkey.
Because I know that I've got that day off at work, so.
Okay.
But
Councilwoman Dewar, would
but
you like to
again,
comment?
I mean, even I 100% agree. That's why I think about 10 minutes ago, I brought up that same issue about the 28th. It seemed like a very awkward day for staff to have to work. So, but even being the 26th, there's this vetting and reviewing process, and this is why I guess I've been leaning this whole time to the 2nd instead of the 1st, to allow them to get the applications, post these things, and do all this on the 1st so that we have our meeting. But I understand if we want to do it on the 1st, it's just I am very sensitive about the whole Thanksgiving thing. I really am. And having to have anybody do anything in that 4-day period, that's work-related, that's required, I'm struggling with that, and I'm not happy about it. So, if we could come up with a schedule that leaves that period and it leaves some time for the staff to do their work and leaves that 4-day hole, and people have travel also.
So then maybe sooner than later, actually, and then you guys be prepared, ready to work, get these done, so that we can move much faster.
I'm fine with having them, having us submit our rankings on the 26th. But again, we've already talked about that the staff need time to evaluate those, check that they live in the city, do all the things that they have to do.
It'd be the 25th.
So right now with the adjusted schedule that we're talking about, we would open on the 13th, close the application, open the application period on the 13th, close the application period on the 20th. Staff would get the information to council on the 21st, and then you would have to get your rankings back to staff on the 26th. So it gives council 5 days to do that, and then a special meeting on the 1st.
And Councilwoman Dewar, your concern about the vetting process, that's the 24-hour, essentially 24-hour period that we'll have between the 20th and the 21st. So staff will have done that work. If we could set a time of, let's say, 2 p.m. on the 26th, when you submit your individual rankings to us, that would give staff a couple hours at the end of that day. We'll block it out on our calendars to get the information through. We'll verify it. We'll have it checked, double checked, triple checked, posted. We'll notify the candidates. I do think, in fairness to the candidates, that gives them a little better idea about their holiday weekend. If they had plans to go away, they'll know that they need to be back on the 1st or not back on the 1st. That, you know, they're not, you know, if unfortunately they're not in the finalists that are notified that they don't need to rush back. So I think you've arrived at a good compromise that asks a little bit of everybody, but not too much of anybody, and we appreciate your consideration for staff's time.
Well, if I may, however, we're kind of back to where we were, which is giving us a real short review time with a council meeting in between. So I think we need to turn them in on the 1st, which is that Monday, and then upload them immediately and plan on the 2nd. And, you know, it gives people it gives them a short time, but maybe sending them in on the 1st and interviewing on the 2nd?
Personally, I'd like us to do it sooner than later. So, I mean, I was even thinking of shortening it to where council had to work a little bit harder so that we can get it done.
Yeah.
So that's where I would like to see. I mean, it's going to be hectic, but I think we're ready to move forward. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Councilman McKenzie? Councilwoman Dewar?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Delgado? I just want to make sure everyone's getting their questions.
My only
Councilwoman
question I have
Breckus?
remaining is
Councilman Jordan? Thank you.
The only question I have remaining is on the 1st. Are we, as Councilmember Dewar, what's the odds of a Neoma and a Naomi? Unusual names. So we're just going to go by Dewar and Jordan.
We are.
Were we going to do still in the morning and then an afternoon thing, or are we doing it all in the morning? That's the only hanging issue I'm not
What
clear
do
on.
you prefer? I mean, what do you, as the HR professional here?
I kind of feel like in deference to the applicants, and frankly, in thoroughly vetting all the applications, I actually like the idea of doing part of it in the morning.
Yeah.
And clearing up and making sure we're good with legal and doing everything correctly on that front, and then reconvening in the early afternoon.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. No other comments?
I'd just like to say one more thing. When we first started talking about whether we were going to do a special election or a appointment, before the election ever occurred, we talked about how we were going to do exactly what we're trying to do right here now. And prior to the election being through, I actually got emails from people that said that if you're elected, I want you to support having the special election rather than doing the appointment. And I hope that the public that sees this meeting and it has watched us struggle over this understands that the reason we're struggling so hard over this is we want this to be a fair process, but at the same time, we understand that it's not really feasible for us to run a special election, besides the fact that that could postpone filling that seat for another 3 to 5 months. And we'd like to get the seat filled immediately so we can move on with the business of the city.
Right. Very good. I would agree with that, absolutely. Any further discussion? I'd like to go into public comment at this time. And I'm excited, my first person up for public comment would be Mr. Eddie Lorton. I'll remember you forever. You were my first public comment.
Perfect. Mrs. Mayor, glad to have you. City Council. So now I ended up, the the way this kind of transpired, just I will not be pursuing the at-large seat, so I can say this neutrally, and that is I'm glad we're doing an appointment. But now how this ended up taking place just now, I think that how we used to do in this past, we'd let staff talk first, then public comment, and then you can have your discussion because it's already like set in stone because the public sometime could have some input you might listen to too. So now what I was thinking about was I liked a special meeting thing like Oscar was talking about, but have you ever considered after 5 so Mr. and Mrs. Smith that work all day long could be here as well? So that's just a thought, you know, or when you put it at the end of the meeting or something like that. But after 5 is good. But there's one more thing that I'd like to see in this process that I'm glad we're not doing the special election, saves us money. You people run our budgets. You can decide who we have that's going to fill that seat. You'll do a good job. But I would like an agreement to be between the city and this person that gets appointed and not elected, and this means something to me, is the fact that they shouldn't be able to run for a council seat for 8 years because they'll have the unfair advantage of incumbency, and yet they were not elected. So I hope you consider this in the process because I don't think someone should get appointed, be able to sit there, and then they're going to run again in a couple years. That's not fair for the public since we are bypassing the special election. So I know you do the right thing. Thank you very much, and thank you here, Louis. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Mr. Lorton. Next up will be Phil Marquise. And also it'll be followed by Ron, I think it's Miguel. What is it? Okay, okay. Well, it's not, it doesn't look like that, sorry. So I want to get it right, but I wanted to let you know so you'll be ready. Thank you, sir. All right.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, Mr. Klinger, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Philip Hippocrates McCrease. Tomorrow will mark the 10th anniversary that I've been a resident of this great city. I stand before you today because I wanted to introduce myself to this body and the people of Reno. And with the process being in flux, up in the air in current time, I wanted to request your consideration to appoint me to the open at-large city council seat. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McGee?
Hello, City Council, new mayor. You got to realize you are a very inexperienced city council, so you got to keep open-minded. And I analyzed everything you said. These two gals down here are the most smart in the head. That gal has a lot of common sense, and he spoke what you should have said about at least 10 people. I've been in a lot of elections. I'm almost 70, involved with the AT&T, CWA, Communication Workers America. And I never seen it just jam down somebody's throat that quick. If you really have 60 applicants, he probably only has 40 legit. You know, some of them are just talking. But if you only have 10 or 20, I think what you're doing is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have more, you got to process it and be fair to everybody. And I think you will be. 3 ain't going to get it. Because I tell you right away, you got 3 favorites right now. That's it. You already know who they are. One of them might be this guy. Because he's been on TV, he's had ads. It's just like Chuck Allen won the sheriff's department. Why? Because he was on TV for 10 years doing the traffic. That other guy didn't have a chance. But anyway, even though he spent $400,000, so how come? And you guys don't have that much experience. I like these 2 gals because I can tell they act like lawyers to me. I'm an ex-union leader, like a lawyer. And I'm tough. I'm 70. There is no senior on the city council. There's a veteran now. You got 1 veteran, replace 1 veteran. I know everything. Who was your last veteran? Cashel, Air Force. And he's only 55. I'll be 70 in a couple months. And I have a young family, 10, 11-year-old daughters. I have a lot of background, military, union, radio broadcasting. So I have a lot of common sense. I do a lot of senior work, And I'm prepared to donate the whole salary back to a good cause. I do not need no salary. So it'd go to Ronald McDonald House or go to rehabbing a house for a disabled veteran. So there's a lot of, but I'm not politically, I know the mayor better than all you because he's helped me a lot. And I've dealt with him a little bit because he's a good speaker on TV. He don't talk much on city council, but on TV he's pretty good and he deals with the public, which you have to do more. This guy down here has a lot of common sense. And when he said 10, he hit closer home to the right thing. 10, then you drop it to 5. But give the other 5 a chance. She was smart enough to realize, don't make a quick decision. Do it in 2 halves of 1 day at least. Think about it for 4 hours. But listen to him on the end a little bit and make the right decision, but don't kick people out. If we had a debate, I'll chew up most people in debates. Background, trivia, politics, sports. But we're not going to have a debate against the members.
All right, thank you, sir.
Let's do the right thing.
Thank you. These are touchy. All right, so discussion? Or would you like to make a motion?
I make a
Councilman?
motion, I just wanted a clarification before I did so. Are we ranking the top 5 or the top 3? I don't think I've,
But then only interview the,
Yeah.
okay, I got you. Okay.
And interview the top 3.
so we will submit the top 5. The rankings would be basically 1, 2, 5. 1 being your best candidate that you submit, and then at that meeting, we'll look at the top 3. Is that correct? Okay. Unless, I don't know if, I'm willing to make a motion if you like, Madam Mayor,
Go right ahead.
with what I've gathered.
Councilman Delgado?
So I'd like to make a motion that we start accepting letters of interest and resumes starting tomorrow, and that we would close that on the 20th at 5 p.m., in which case then staff would provide us with those letters of interest and resumes on the 21st. I also put on there if we can, as Tracy Chase has stated, to put those names of the applicants online for there to be transparency in the community, that's who's applied. We would then submit rankings on the 26th of the top 5.
And Councilman, if I can jump in, because the 26th is the day before the holiday, I think we should set a time,
I
and
would
maybe it's
agree.
noon to give staff some,
Yep.
Noon on the 26th submission. And that we would then hold a special meeting on the 21st, on the 1st, from which we would then have a special meeting in the morning where we would then basically canvass the legally the rankings, and then we would have a second meeting later that day where we would appoint the new council member. Interview, sorry.
interview, yeah.
That
Okay.
sound right?
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. No,
I like it.
Council, Councilwoman Dewar, okay.
I like it, and there's something you said right at the end. I was gonna add that on the 1st, if we still had some debate going back and forth, if we really did get 60 or 100 or whatever, or we only got 20, we could make that final decision on how many we were gonna interview in the morning, or we could decide right now and make it part of the motion. So I just wanted to, if you want just 3, what? You know, just, it gives us an option if there's so many people and we're really impressed with them and we want to hear from 5 of them, okay. But if we say, wow, there's a clear break here, we just go with 3. We know in the morning, and we can inform those people and give them time to come in the afternoon. And
So Councilwoman, with that said, then I think staff would need direction on how many you want us to notice. So I think we would want to notice the top 5. Okay.
yeah, and now we may only interview 3 of those. Is that okay? I mean,
Yes.
is that
Fine with that?
I would agree.
compromise?
I'm fine with that.
Madam Mayor, may I ask Councilmember Delgado to clarify, does your motion include that at the meeting on the 1st that you would do the interviews and make the appointment?
And I was gonna, like at staff, I'm assuming we would be doing that? Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that
Interviews and
clarification.
employment.
All right, thank you. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I think you got
A
it.
second from, thank you, Councilman McKenzie. Okay. All right. I have a motion. I have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Please say no. Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Mayor, the next item up is item in N2, update discussion and possible direction to staff regarding the work of the Reno City Council Subcommittee on Reno City Council Rules and Regulations. Assistant City Manager Cadence Matievich has a staff presentation.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, members of the council. For the record, Cadence Matievich, Assistant City Manager. We have prepared a staff report for you. I would be happy to detail what's contained in that staff report. It essentially summarizes the meetings that have taken place to date, and that there will need to be an appointment of a new member to the subcommittee to replace that position that was previously filled by Councilwoman Zadra. Councilmember Breckus is the chair of that committee, and I would certainly defer to her if she wished to share with her colleagues the work that's taken place thus far.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager, Madam Mayor, colleagues. We have rules of procedure. I don't know if you've received copies of them. They're in resolution form. I keep my copy in my binder right here, and I have a little cheat sheet also. But they've been out of date. They were adopted on the 2010, and I think there's been a couple changes to law, but also some operational issues that have come up over the last couple of years. So at some point this summer, we formed a subcommittee to look into the rules and procedures, and we set up a subcommittee that's met twice. Councilmember Delgado, Councilmember Zadra, and I were members. We're slogging through these rules. You probably haven't even gotten a chance to read them yet. Now it's time to continue that effort. One important thing is, because the mayor's the presiding officer, there was a lot of discussion that the mayor once elected would join into the group and be a part of that. However, when we set up the subcommittee, it was 3 people. I don't see any reason why we couldn't expand the membership to 5 or even make it a council of the whole and whoever wants to participate. This is the dry stuff, but it is very important to how we operate, and I think it's a good way to move forward as working as a collaborative body and an up-to-date kind of procedural body. And we also, at our last meeting, discussed some of the role of the city attorney. And so City Attorney Hall, whose staff from his office has been participating, it'll be time to bring him in too to understand some of the things that come up, like in closed sessions. Do we take agendas? Or minutes or so on? So some of those kind of came in, but a lot of them are, and it covers the gamut from how people are recognized in the audience, how we make motions, everything. So whatever's the appetite, I think more the merrier, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea, but are we going to need to have a quorum then in order to get things done? Does that matter since it's just a subcommittee? If we ask everyone to sit on that committee?
Councilmember, yes, if you officially appoint to the subcommittee, then your quorum is a derivative of the total number of members. And so if it is your desire to expand the membership, then your quorum requirement would increase proportionately.
So I think it'd just be a matter of if everyone wants to participate, like you said, as a dry stuff. I think if we get a commitment from people to go and show up, we can do that. I mean, but of course, I think that Hillary Sheevy should be part of that ongoing conversation. So making sure she's an appointed. I don't know if we want to open it up to the new members as well, if you guys want to be part of that subcommittee, going over the rules.
Well, if I may, I'm not really clear about how often you meet, what the end goal is. I haven't seen the current rules, as you pointed out. I guess I'm just wondering if we could consider tabling this conversation until the point at which we're even doing the committee, either the 24th or the 3rd would be my recommendation, because I would like to be more knowledgeable about it before I give any opinion.
Madam Mayor, if I may, the staff recommendation would be that you provide us direction to bring back an item on the 24th.
Okay.
To make those appointments. Certainly, we can prepare that item for your consideration. It is our intention that as we work with the new members in the coming days to do some of your orientations, this is one of the subjects that we'll address with you. We'll hope to do an adequate job of preparing you for the discussion on the 24th. But because this is a subcommittee of the council, we're requesting your direction to prepare that item for your agenda on the 24th.
And if I may, you'll glean a lot from reading the minutes. It's really a working group.
Right.
That then will bring back a recommendation down to the whole body, whatever the working group composition is. But the mayor and the city attorney's participation, which we have new members, is key. Okay. So the motion is that we will ask you, when we bring the boards and commissions appointments, to bring forward this question of appointment and the composition of the body.
Okay, so I have a motion. Second. I have a motion and a second. Discussion? After discussion?
The only discussion I have is that, are we doing the board and commissions on the 24th, or are we holding off to the 3rd? Given our last conversation,
think that- yeah,
right?
the-
Okay, so I just want to make sure I was on the same page with that. Okay,
Councilwoman, you're correct. The direction I got was the 3rd, December 3rd.
good.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Mayor, we do not have any board and commission appointments on the agenda today, so the next item is item P1, identification of mayor and council items for future agendas of the Reno City Council.
Okay, perfect. Councilwoman Breckus, do you have any future agenda items?
No, I don't.
Councilmember Dewar?
Yes, I do. I, at this time, want to acknowledge the staff that we have here at the City of Reno. I've had the privilege of working with this staff for many years in different positions, and I really am impressed with what they do. At the same time, I just ran a campaign, and the campaign, my platform was about listening, building consensus, and getting things done. And so I wanted to request an agenda item, and really it's an initiative that I'd like to undertake and have approval from the group to spend more than 2 hours on this. And that initiative would be to address the garage that goes with this building. And the reason that I would like the staff to put some time to this is that for at least the 10 years I've been using the garage, most recently, it hasn't been in the best of shape. It is not particularly clean. It doesn't feel safe. And I think there's some improvements that we could make. And what I would ask the council to agree to, or I guess I can just ask you, Mr. Manager, to put this on as an agenda, is I would like to see what we can do about the garage. I'd like to have a proposal about what it would take to clean it up, to paint it, to provide ongoing maintenance for it, and potentially install electric charging stations in the garage that reflect where our community is going with electric cars. And if the price tag comes back too high, then I would like to spearhead an effort to see if we can get contributions, whether it's staff volunteer time, my own volunteer time, or from others to address this issue. And I know it will require conversations with the CalNEVA. Obviously, they own it, we lease it. But I think it's very important that when the staff come to work, that they come into a clean, safe environment, and that they are not depressed, but they're inspired to come to work. And similarly, I think it's very important when citizens come to the seat of their government, that they also are inspired and ready to do business with the city. And I think it's our front door. And I think on the path, I heard that blight was a very big issue everywhere I walked. And I think that the effort to clean up blight needs to begin with our own city council and our own building. And I think we can provide leadership by doing this. I think maybe others around us would be so inspired as well. So it hits on a couple different points, acknowledging the work that the staff does, acknowledging our citizens, and also trying to tackle one of my big initiatives, which I know is one of your big initiatives as well, which is the way that our city looks, feels to others and to ourselves.
I would agree, fantastic.
Councilwoman, and the good news on this item is the staff has already started putting a lot of work into this. And in fact, we have a meeting with the Calneva tomorrow on this very issue. So
Wow.
we will,
Okay.
we will put this on the next agenda. You have some additional items in there that we hadn't discussed, so we will put that on the next agenda.
Okay, thanks so much.
All right, fantastic. Councilmember Delgado? Nothing? Councilmember McKenzie? Councilmember Jordan?
I do. First off, I think that's a good idea and something that popped in my mind for those of us that have gone through Leadership Reno Sparks. They're always looking for a project. They're always looking for a project. So I kind of wonder, since that is kind of the first face of the city when someone's coming in to apply for, that maybe they would take that on. I just throw that out there. Maybe that's something.
It's a nice idea.
My agenda item is with regards to constituent safety concerns on the trails on Peavine Mountain and people with recreational target shooting. For those of you that are familiar with jogging or walking your dogs or hiking on Peavine, there are many, many trails up there. And apparently there's been some close calls recently, and there's safety concerns with those hiking those trails that maybe the markings aren't pronounced enough or clear enough that where the designated shooting areas are and where they're not, and maybe making people more aware of the hikers and walkers and things up in that area.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, the next item is item P2, liaison reports.
All right, Councilmember Breckus, do you have any liaison reports? None? Okay. Councilmember Delgado? Councilmember Jordan? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, next item is item P3, reports from any conferences or professional meetings.
Councilwoman Breckus? Councilmember Dewar? We thought you might be. Councilmember Delgado? Councilmember McKenzie? Nothing? Councilmember Jordan? Okay.
Madam Mayor, next item up is item P4, a resolution donating council funds.
Resolution number 8023, resolution donating council donation funds to Sierra Nevada Community Aquatics to promote aquatic events and opportunities in the amount of $500.
Move to adopt.
Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment on this item?
No, we do not.
Thank you. So I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Or any opposed? No? Okay. Motion carries.
Madam Mayor, the next item is item P5, discussion and potential direction to the city manager to utilize 2 or more hours of staff time to initiate an amendment to Title 18 related to a moratorium restricting on-premise digital signage on all properties with the exception of those holding business licenses for retail which meet the thresholds of a large retail establishment and non-restricted gaming licenses pending a period of study and analysis by the city.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members. I initially brought this up because I have noticed as of recent, and this is, consistent with the fortunate uptick in development, a lot of more new signage, digital signage, particularly like the streaming videos. We have one right here as you exit our building, and they're going into areas where we haven't seen them before. But I need more information to start a discussion on that from staff, because I was going over our September 24th staff report from staff on all the amendments to Title 18 that council has previously initiated. There's 21 of them, and number 14 of those is to update the sign ordinance, including temporary signs, balloon and banner regulations, and on-premise signs. I know I wasn't a part of a council that initiated that, so I think it predates my time. I'm just wondering was that on the time? Was that at issue when the previous council, directed staff to do this? And where are we at on that in light of the fact that we're working on our zoning ordinance right now with money that was incorporated into the enterprise fund? So if we could get that maybe in a memo and then move forward with this item on the 24th, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
And just to clarify on the zoning ordinances, and Councilwoman Breckus, you and I have had this conversation, so I just want to clarify for the record. The Title 18 ordinances that you're talking about that we're working on is part of the master plan process. So we are not currently working on that, unless I'm misunderstanding what you're saying.
Well, on September 24th, a staff report came to us showing all these previous council initiatives to Title 18. So you're not working on any of these?
No, what I'm referring to is the redo of Title 18, I guess, sort of the rewrite of
yeah.
that. I just want to make sure
Well,
that
okay,
we don't
okay,
leave the
okay,
impression that suddenly
yeah.
staff is working
Yeah.
on that.
I just want to know of this is number 14. I don't know if these were chronological. If this is 14 of 21, when we can, expect that to come before us. Because a moratorium may not be needed. Council may be staff may be bringing a text amendment. It may be before the planning commission next week. I don't know. I mean, I hope we have stakeholder meetings when we move with this.
Madam
Mr.
Chair.
Tournier.
Just Fred Tournier, your Community Development Director. Just as clarification, we'll go ahead and do a memo and update the council on where we are with the master plan and the Title 18 updates. And foundational items regarding where we are with the sign code.
Okay, the sign code in particular, those digital signs,
Yes.
were those at point when the previous council initiated this activity?
I believe that's number 14 in
Yeah,
that list.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Councilwoman Jordan?
I guess my only comment to that, and I understand that this is simply a kind of a bring a report back, but I'm having exception to some of the broad brush language in here with regards to that we want to initiate an amendment to the title to put restrictions on some of these on-premise digital billboards. I'm not saying it's not worthy of a conversation, but I don't want to give the impression that we're heading down a path that we haven't fully discussed at this table. I guess my question would be also how this plays into the Scenic Nevada proceedings that are occurring right now, if they do impact anything at all.
PCA Shipman will respond to you.
For the record, John Shipman, Deputy City Attorney. We'll include a little update with the memo that CD's providing, but essentially, it's the difference between billboards and on-premises. So they're kind of different animals, but we can outline the differences for you.
Yeah. And if I may, the point of clarification, the use of initiate is standard language in the zoning ordinance, and that's why that.
No, I understand it, but I'm going to assume that this language, you provided this to staff to put on here as an item? I did. Okay, I'm saying I'm having, taking some exception to the way in which you worded this.
Yeah, well, and it looks like a previous council already put that in the motion, and we'll see how they worded it previously, so thank you.
So is this
Yeah.
being voted on? I mean, but real quick,
So-
okay, so it's just clarification you're asking for, Jenny, basically on this?
I'm looking to see, previous council's direction's been given on these signs.
Cool.
When was it given? What was the scope? Where are we at on it? If you want to blow this up further, because we got 21 here, and this is number 14, that's fine. But I really, because we're seeing signs pop up that are streaming video in places we haven't seen before, and the potential is there for this sign here to stream any video it wants to, and for every storefront along Virginia Street, and similarly down Virginia Street in Midtown, to have these signs with streaming content. And I don't know that that's the community character that I want, but we haven't, expressed that, and we'll do that in the master plan. But once those things are out there, they're out there. Thank you.
All right, so no further discussion. I'd like to ask for a motion.
I think no action, a motion.
No action, okay. So then we would
Not
just
more
bring
than
it
2
back?
hours.
Not more than 2 hours, so then we just bring it back,
I
city
guess
manager?
Just to clarify, if we're going to initiate an amendment, we would need an action
Probably
today.
mo-
No, I'm not
No.
asking for the
Okay.
council to do that right now until this further information
Oh,
comes
okay.
forward.
All right, fantastic. Moving on.
Madam Mayor, we do not have a public hearing scheduled for tonight. Next up is public comment. Item R.
Item R. Madam Secretary, do we have any
No,
comments?
Madam Mayor.
No?
Final item is
All right.
adjournment, item S.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
I'm going to carry on this tradition and say, in lieu of Mayor Bob Cushel, my favorite item. And do I have obviously, I have a second? All right, thanks.